All right, Steve. State of the Realm, episode 6, I think. I don't know. I might have to. I don't do any editing, so it's gonna have to be.
Thanks
But
for having me back, Mike. I think were we actually was I on the first State of the Realm? Was I the
I
first
don't know.
one?
I just started making that up like recently, and I started. So I do these marathon lives that are probably like 2.5 to 3.5 hours on average. So I figured I'd have like a segment of maybe talking to somebody or doing whatever, talking about the state of the realm, and
Yeah.
cut it out, and then put it on normal like recorded video archives instead of lives.
Do you
So
have
Steve
bathroom
from
breaks,
Philosopher
like
Cards.
snack breaks?
No,
Bathroom? No, just straight through.
straight through. Yeah, what's going on with your chair height adjustment, man? It looks like you're like sitting on the floor right now, and I'm looking down on you like we're in
No,
an
that's
executive
just
boardroom or
my
something.
normal chair. I have my camera's kind of coming this way. I figured I'd have this is my actual real background.
Okay.
I haven't had it for a while. I usually throw up the green screen. Yeah, trick of the trade. Let me show you here.
Skycam. Oh, there we go. I don't have one of those. You got the real deal
Trick
back
of the
here.
trade, guys.
Yeah, I was scrambling, so it's not your fault. I was gonna like jokingly blame you and say Steve disrespected me showing up late, but I was scrambling over here getting things set up per usual.
Nice.
The
Yeah, I don't have
whatnot.
anything tonight to get set up. This is an easy night for me. We get to talk, so it's good.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah. So let's talk about the lineup. I'm gonna have to look because I think I promised to do like 8 things tonight. But the first of which is we're gonna talk for about an hour or so. And then if the wife's not getting mad at you, maybe you stick around.
Yeah.
We'll open a couple alpha boxes. We're gonna roll the wheel for the Sorcery Contest Realm Community Facebook group. I know you're not on Facebook.
Yeah.
But we had 5,000 members in the group, and I promised I would give away an alpha uncut sheet.
It's a big deal.
So we ran a contest where people had to post a link to the group to help grow the group and get us over the hump. We got there finally, and 5,000. So we're going to spin a wheel
It's
for
awesome.
that.
Yeah, congrats.
And, we'll show a few cards.
Some would say that, like, isn't that the main sorcery Facebook group? Isn't that like the one the company runs? Some would say.
So someone suggested
that
I should forfeit it to the company. we need a community presence. So I do my part with art scene collectors. There are game players in there. Every once in a while, someone will come in and be like, "How come there's no gameplay talk?" I was like, please talk about the gameplay.
Yeah, no, it's good.
We can talk about whatever people like. Yeah. So where should we start, man? Like, so basically, remind me again if you were in Sorcery from the Kickstarter or if you came after that.
No, I came in the summer, like right after Alpha was like distributed, and then before Beta. So summer 2023, I suppose. And I was ordering, bulk and different cards and things online on eBay and stuff like that from some of the big breakers at the time. I think there were several folks, on eBay that were doing some mass breakings and such. So yeah, that's how I got in. And it's interesting to hear the argument that we need boxes and so they can't grow without having boxes. And it's like me, a box breaker, got into it with no boxes.
Yeah.
Did I need a box to go get the cards on? I mean, it's just like, so I hear that argument and I'm just like, come on, I don't know. If people really want to get into it, they'll find a way.
Yeah.
And, while it's nice to have product, I just think it's a moot argument to me. I think if the folks that are really going to stick around are the ones that are going to find it with or without boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and they were always kind of available just through unconventional means because Kickstarter was printed demand, so everyone that knew of it at the time of Kickstarter got what they pledged, and then with Beta, it was kind of it ebbed and flowed a bit. It came in few different waves as we know now. Come to find out, and it was kind of sporadic on where it was available for a while. Early on, and certain regions like Europe, especially overseas, they were hurting for it. But so I'd say like international, different beast. In the US, it always was pretty much available through Team Covenant, with a few exceptions. A few months here and there when we ran out, and then more came to market. So it was discoverable and it was affordable, I would say, for the most part.
Sure.
However,
Yeah.
from a player perspective, I think some of that like erratic supply availability kind of caused some store adoption issues. I think.
Yeah.
But you actually play the game as well, right? And
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I'm not the
events on your
greatest.
Discord. But
I'm not, we did.
you host tabletop
Yeah.
simulator events.
Yeah, we completed our first league on my Discord, and we had 24 folks participate across three different pods, eight people in each pod, and it turned out really nice. Jeffrey, if some of you guys know Jeffrey on Discord, he won. Matt Dogs NZ came in second, like a real close second. It was a fight to the finish, and Noble, and I'm sure a lot of you know Noble as well. He came in third. So the winner of each pod won some swag and some, cracked alpha packs, and Jeffrey won some cash too to join some events. So it was good. I mean, it's interesting because if you look at the main league channel, right now there is a lull in league and just tabletop play. I think they were about to kick off the latest season, and there wasn't a lot of folks playing. So, I mean, I think, we were fortunate on my Discord to get something like that going. And I think I'd like to try to do maybe 2 events a year, something to that regard, where like maybe one during the spring lull and maybe like one shortly after release of the new cards, so something to that effect. But it worked out really well. I think everybody had a lot of fun. I played and I lost every match. But I played. I was in. I played my Templar deck, so I mean, I knew I was kind of in for it, but that's all right. It's kind of just fun for me to play. So
yeah, and while you're talking here, I'm looking at the Cornerstone. They had that. I know you could go to the website and see the full list. It's kind of weird how this image has like the 2 overlaying, so like half of the states are cut off, but you could see like maybe 2/3 of it at least. And the general consensus is the game is fairly widespread. I looked at that and I was like, okay. I went to the website to get the full list, and I was like, how widespread is this game in the U.S.? And it's in, I think I counted 35 of the states, so it's fairly widespread. But if you look at each of the states, there's only like 1 to 5 stores that are at least hosting a Cornerstone. I'm sure there's others. Like there's nothing, and I'm in Virginia. There's no store hosting a Cornerstone. However, I've been to like one of the LGSs. I brought it's right near my framer, so I brought some paintings in there. I stopped in and showed the guy, and I showed like all his customers and stuff. And the guy was like super into the game. It seemed like he doesn't follow religiously, so he was having trouble. He was asking me like, when's the next set coming out? Like, is there any prize support for this game? Like some basic things like that. But he's like a really good player himself, and he's really trying to get others to play. He's got a big like Magic and the is it called Warhammer, the figurines and stuff. He's got like those guys playing in there and stuff. So, but he's not hosting, so it's kind of like a handful maybe per state. So it's a little thin. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, are you seeing that like too from your communities and people chatting in the Discord and whatnot?
Yeah. So like we could even get in. This is kind of the gateway to the conspiracy theories, so to speak, that we can kind of discuss. This is kind of the gateway into it. But the Cornerstone process of signing up and getting approval as a store. The Feisty Goblin, so some of you know, we partner with the Feisty Goblin. It's our local store, and they do an excellent job. The Feisty Goblin is the place that we've built the majority of the Pittsburgh, PA community around. And I can tell you at, the peak after Arthurian Legends launch, where, a few of us really pushed. I know, Jim and Christine's the owner. Jim really loves sorcery there too. And those guys push. We had at one point, I think, an event with 20 or so folks every week, and it's since whittled down into the summer where we're kind of going like every other week. Maybe there's like 4 to 6, and this is kind of the Pittsburgh scene, right? And this is all of us pushing event. And we tried to get a couple additional stores, but the other store owners aren't as into sorcery. So there's a couple facets of this conversation where it's really important that you find an LGS from a sorcery EC perspective that likes the game, because there's so much choice and option out there for an LGS, right? If you have a limited amount of space to store product, to have on the shelves, to have people gaming in the store, limited time for events and things like that, you have to choose wisely. And many of these stores are saying EC's just too flaky for us, right? They're just too flaky. So you really only you end up with these stores that really love it, which are your Crossroads stores, right? Your Crossroads LGS. And if you're EC, and this is kind of where we get into this conspiracy theory, the whole point of distribution is, even think of it this way, Mike. If we, your audience can say, okay, well, how do I relate to what the distribution environment? If you think of what your proposition is to the artist, Mike, is you're a place where you're this marketplace where they get more visibility and more reach for some of their work than if they go out and try to market it themselves. You do that marketing for them, and you bring them.
Dude, I lost audio on you.
Really?
Are people hearing
Am I
Steve?
Still there? Can you still hear me? What the heck?
I don't know if it's on my end or yours.
Can you guys hear me?
Hang on.
You might have heard me. Maybe it's your AirPods.
Might be my. Hang on a second. Maybe it's my AirPods. Yeah. It's probably on my end.
Let me know, Mike. Okay, everybody's saying they're good.
We got some water in the ears.
Did you charge them? I'm gonna join the chat.
All right. Are you talking? Okay. Say something.
Can you hear me now? All
right, hang on. Let me. I got nothing. You guys hearing Steve? All right. I could go no AirPods. Let me see if there's feedback when I do that. So if I go, hang on a second here.
Reduce the echo in settings if there is.
All right. Is there an echo?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you through the laptop now. So let us know.
Check your settings. If you hit settings, hit audio, and there is echo cancellation. Make sure that's checked.
Yeah. All right. We should be good. All right. Everybody says it sounds good. So I don't need the AirPods.
All right. Very good. Very good. So what was I saying? So if you think of your value proposition, Mike, and what you bring to the artists is this place, this marketplace for the artists to have bigger reach than they ever maybe could going to market themselves. Maybe they don't want to focus on marketing. They want to focus on the art, and they say, you know what, let me offer these things through Mike's auctions because this is where the reach is. And it makes a lot of sense. If you think about it, that's kind of how a distribution works for an LGS and for a game company, right? Because the game company can then go to the distribution, and distribution will call up different LGS and say, hey, check out this new game we got. Get a couple things in. They will market it. The distribution company will market it for you, and they will get stores to accept it. And there's a lot of value from that proposition where, these stores that are buying other similar things would try your product out in an easy way. This is an opportunity where Eric's Curiosa could be saying, all these other stores that are ordering our product are just flipping it, and they're not really developing a base. And, the cornerstone stores could end up being this, tried and true group that will be allowed to buy product from Eric's Curiosa potentially directly if they go the no distribution route, which if they go that route, that means that they're going to sacrifice that potential of distribution growing their company. But they might be saying how much of that is really growth anyway, and how much of it is just finding its way online, where Eric's Curiosa could try to just sell online and make that extra money that, they're losing from the middleman. And I think that if we start looking at some of these pieces like the Crossroads stores, and you start comparing things to Flesh and Blood, where you're getting these stores on a list to say these are our approved stores, I start to wonder, are we going to go down a path where they may reduce their exposure through to distribution and start to sell directly or through someone like a Team Covenant to distribute to these certain stores? What that does is you can print 1 million boxes, and it's behind this iron dome, so to speak, where nobody can see it. and it just can constantly flow where it needs to flow. It's very smart if you think about it. But at the same time, it contradicts a lot of what we've been seeing from the reprints. Reprint for growth, right? We're reprinting for growth constantly. This method would be a measured growth because we wouldn't have so much reach through these new LGS. The LGS would have to find Sorcery or be told through their customers to reach out to try to join. So
I think I might have missed your introduction to this point. Have you heard that they're going to adjust their distribution plans, or you're projecting that maybe this tournament concept of you have to opt into hosting a tournament could be a stepping stone to direct distribution to these?
Yeah. So like if you read between the lines too on the notes on the Dragon Lord set, they say that it will be distributed through normal distribution channels. Or standard. It's a language that's like it's like intentionally unclear. And I looked at that, and you heard Rudy call it the Dragon Secret Layer. And when he said the Dragon Secret Layer, it gets you wondering too, will they try to sell it, somewhat direct to try to maximize their profits and eliminating that middleman that's getting a cut, It begs the question.
Yeah, we only know that. All right, so focusing on Dragon Lord, and then let's go back to core sets. Dragon Lord, I think they said it will be available at Gen Con. And then Ed Beard Jr. came on my show a couple times, and he said he'll be buying a certain percentage of it. I forget if he gave exact figures, but he's going to have some directly available himself. And I think he said
I did not know that.
Yeah, so he's getting, which is pretty amazing. I mean, in a way, like the artist has the opportunity to buy a certain quantity of it, and then he gets offered direct. And one thing he talked about is he's going to, I don't know if he's going to offer it different ways, but one of the ways that he's thinking about offering it is he's going to do like an art card where he's going to draw or paint or sketch or something onto a card that he's going to include with his package. And then he's thinking about, we were spitballing other inclusions like maybe play mats and this and that, but he'll have some kind of like offering of his own. But we don't know the other distribution methods other than it's going to be at Gen Con. And then, like you say, it was kind of generic and vague. We're waiting to hear what the deal is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if we look, of what distribution did to Arthurian Legends, if everybody in the audience too, just take a step back and say, if you're Eric's Curiosa, was distribution a net positive or negative for Arthurian Legends? And I think if we step back and look at that, you would not see the early drops. The early drops of price, because they aren't. Once it hits distribution and it hits these large companies like Double Infinity, Double Infinity was one of the ones. Beta reprint happened. Boom, beta boxes down to 120. There is some level of sentiment too with some of these things, right? When you drop the price like that, the sentiment is a little bit negative, and it gets people afraid, and it can cause more panic and more selling unnecessarily. And it can hurt things more than it helps. So I look at it and I say, has distribution been a net benefit for EC? And I don't know. The answer is yes. And I'd have to think. Now we could be wrong. They only might be focused on making boxes and cards over there. That is very possible that none of these things are even being discussed, and it's only boxes and cards. However, I would like to think that they're reconsidering the strategy with distribution.
Yeah. So there's a lot to that. So with distribution, I think they had no choice because they need to get the product out there. They're a small team. They couldn't handle there's no way they could handle the logistics of taking orders and shipping this all over the place. They already have their handfuls just kind of running the basics of the company and coming up with this tournament strategy and all the things they're, developing the product and all that kind of stuff. So you have to go distribution. All games do that. Some do like multiple Kickstarter campaigns. Eric's Curious has said from the very start there will only definitively be one Kickstarter. This was a question that someone asked Eric early on in one of his YouTube videos, and then they were going to go through traditional distribution, or however they coined it. So that's what they did. I think like some of that near term price volatility, like all games go through that. Like I don't think it really matters that much in the near term. I think there's some merit to your point that it certainly like will shake collector and speculator investor type confidence near term if it's like very volatile. But you know,
why
they control
have map then? Why have map if it doesn't matter? Remember that whole map thing? Like, why have that?
Map's a wacky thing because people like all the big time mainstream like online sellers do gimmicky things to skirt map, you know.
Yeah.
But I think they they tried to mitigate and control that a bit through their, getting back to like your speculative theory that maybe this cornerstone and people opting into hosting events is a step towards direct distribution. One thing that I think they said they've done is that they favor stores that were signed up for the Play network. They were already kind of doing that. They weren't selling it direct to those stores, but I think they were trying to work through the big distributors like Soho and Peach State to try to get them to prioritize those stores that opted into Play network. And we saw that definitively with I think it was like the first offering of beta, where they guaranteed a certain amount to innkeepers. And then I think, there was some talk maybe from Simon or someone at the company saying that they were trying to target stores with the growth of stores and stores in general for the additional beta print. And I don't know if that fully materialized. I mean, we saw some weird things along the way where a bunch went to Singapore, and then stores were kind of getting, I think you could only, as a small like indie, trying to earn your stripes and only pushing through a certain volume, and like in Sorcery's case, only doing it once per year. I don't know how much they can really control the distributor to say, prioritize these stores, or the distributor just needs to move it. They don't want it's risky with an indie, so they don't want to be stuck holding the bag, buying all that product and being unable to move it. If AL's been kind of hit or miss demand wise, at least at scale demand. I think it was super hot and people were excited when it first came out, but it kind of waned over time a bit and became a harder sell.
No, exactly.
So,
I don't disagree. It's something to ponder, and this theory isn't one where I'm guaranteeing it or anything like that. It's just that it's interesting to see some of these things occur, and it's possible. And if that occurs, what then can they do with it? Some of you may have heard that I might believe that Arthurian Legends is overprinted. And there may be rumors circulating that I believe this. And in a no distribution environment, nobody knows if it's overprinted or not. If you're holding 1 million boxes and you only send 100 boxes at a time to each distributor until they're sold out, nobody knows how much is behind the curtain. And there's a lot of power behind that, because you can come out and say, we will never reprint this for 10 years. Or you can choose to have something on the shelves for 3 years. This is what I mentioned in the other video too, Mike, is that Sorcery is a weird market where if it's a once a year product, you can't have all of these different types of Sorcery products on the shelves unless they're on the shelves for multiple years at a time. Right? So if you're saying that, okay, we agree Sorcery EC will probably keep multiple different products on the shelves over time, so that it's not just one box that you can buy. You can choose from 3. You're a new player, you're walking into the game, let's say I walk in and I want to buy a Flesh and Blood pack. There's not just one set to buy. I can walk into an LGS and buy 5, 6, 7 different sets. And I think, I believe Sorcery wants that to be the case. And if that's true, that means they have to have a stock somewhere to feed that, such that can exist for that period of time. Because if you give all of that to distribution, just as you said, Mike, distribution will take it and dump it to Double Infinity, and Double Infinity will dump that thing for pennies on the dollar. They'll make a quick 5% profit, and they're out. And if you don't hold all that product somewhere for yourself, you can't let product exist for that long. Not only that, if you don't control that flow of the faucet, the market will be flooded with singles. Everything tanks. Everybody loses loses sentiment.
Yeah.
And if you eliminate distribution, you protect against that loss of sentiment, because you can make sure that only stores that are going to properly sell your product will sell it how you want it to be sold. And that occurs through this crossroad type program. Do you see what I mean? So like, if you look at the layers of it, the layers of, does Sorcery want their product to be on the shelves for more than 1 year? I believe that answer is yes. If you believe that answer is no, the next question is, do you believe that Sorcery will require a product to always be on the shelves? That answer is definitely yes, because we've observed it. When beta is out of stock, they've reprinted beta. When beta was out of stock again, they reprinted beta again. So we have observed they are not okay with there being no boxes on the shelves. The next question we have to solve for, and we just don't have the data because it's too soon. Next question we solve for is, how many years are they okay with product, and do they want product to be on the shelves for? And I think that's 3 years. So because of that, we are not going to see an out of print announcement. We are not going to see anything on any of these beta, nothing, because they want to leave the door open to have multiple different products on the shelves for a long period of time. And I think that single sellers, like the big guys, kind of hurt that model, because people are able to come in, swoop in, buy the stuff they need at lower prices, and they don't have to go to one of the Crossroads stores and pay full price for a box to crack the cards they need. They can go to a single seller that buys them from overseas for pennies on a dollar from a distributor overseas, and can crack it and then sell it to you for much cheaper. And Eric's Curios is losing money on that. So I think if they're smart, they're looking at all those ways that they're losing money, and single selling is one of those ways. And they're trying to essentially maximize every possible dollar that they can. And that's how I kind of came up with this theory, is that there's a couple static things. One is that 3-year on shelf requirement. The second is they have to be able to store their own product, because that first requirement can't be solved for unless they're storing their own. And then the last piece is they don't want product being sold in a way that's not okay with them, which would be for lower prices, such that folks can kind of dump and do things like that. So that's how I came up with this thought, Mike.
So if they sold it direct, so they had more control, cut out the big time distributors, how do you actually think they could handle that logistically? Like, would their employees literally fill those orders and ship it, or do you think they'd use like a third party as a pseudo distributor? Like, I don't think. What do you think?
That's a really good question. It would definitely be a third party, and there are third parties. If you talk to other folks in cardboard and stuff like that, and there are other ways of owning your inventory and having a third party distribute it for you. And in my personal opinion, I think that is what is going on. I think that it is completely. I think there is product. I don't know what specifically, but I believe there is product sitting in a third-party warehouse, not owned by the third party. And I believe the third party will process distribution of that product for EC. And that's how I think that happens.
See, I would that's interesting theory. So we don't know. You're saying we don't know who to you're saying the warehouse. I mean, warehouse and distribution can be different things. I mean, I don't know the logistics of how the distributors manage this, but I think, there's one aspect where I think we've heard rumors that there's some in a warehouse somewhere, right? Of Arthurian Legends. If that's true, I would say that's probably to pace the supply of Arthurian Legends, because the market felt saturated. There wasn't a lot of demand. They want to have price stability in the secondary market, that type of thing. So you only send so much to distribution, which you can't wholly control. they sell through it, supply wanes, they could replenish, or they can, leave a gap for a certain amount of time and then replenish, and then the market will react and they'll be able to absorb it. And also along the way, they hope and intend for the game to grow through these initiatives with the more tournaments and supporting stores and stuff like that. So
and don't forget too. Don't forget, I do have means to see more things than I can report on. So it's similar, like when you have a relationship with the distributor, you're able to see things behind the scenes that you can't see if you don't have that relationship. And don't forget too that there's some things you really can't say. So like, about this alleged, place that there's Arthurian legends being stored, all I can say about this is, and this is a fact, folks, this is a fact, everybody out there. I know I saw Chase Collectibles out there say rumors and such like that. This part I will say as a fact, and
everything
I don't
we're saying, everything most what we're saying is speculative, obviously.
Yeah, this is a fact, and I'll go on record saying this, that I have heard and I have witnessed myself distributors that have gone out of stock of Arthurian legends many, many times and have suddenly reappeared more stock.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a game that online sellers play to kind of create an impression of scarcity, and then they replenish.
There is a possibility of that.
A lot of the online stores do that.
Yeah. I will say with this that I have watched the out of stock and in stock patterns, and distributors have different warehouse locations, right? So I have watched all of these patterns, and I am very confident in saying that I believe that there is some sort of a restock going on. So I can go on record and say. More details behind that, I can't. I can't go on record or anything like that and say. But to me, I am looking at the warehouse concept as a fact that it exists. You could argue how much is back there and how much exists, and who owns the warehouse, who's operating it. There's all these other speculations where folks can kind of probably get pretty close. But to me, it's fact, and not only is it fact to me, it's actually incredibly smart, right? So there's a lot of there's so much that EC does that's actually really smart. There's so much that's not. I think I'm probably like on the fence on both sides of this thing, because there's a lot they do that's real smart. There's a lot they do that's not. But I do think that this concept of managing inventory this way for a new, indie TCG is really smart, because you're able to ensure that, channel snowball type of situation doesn't occur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. I think if there's a way, I mean, if they were storing it, I mean, again, we don't know what these stores do. They play these games where they have it in stock, then they don't, then they do, and they keep replenishing. I've seen that a million times over the years. So who knows what's going on? I mean, that's probably just a store having more supply that they're holding in reserve, whether they have it in a warehouse or not. I mean, let's say they do. I think that is smart as well, because then they can, again, like trickle it out as needed, instead of just flooding the distributor with like a single massive print and there's just too much and no one's buying it.
Sure.
That can cause all kinds of problems, because then the distributor themselves lose confidence in the product, and they offer these aggressive pricing sales like we've seen, or packaging it with, they treat it like a bust product and package it with other, like, more higher demand stuff that they can move.
Sure.
And package with stuff.
Sure.
Kind of some things like that. But I don't know. Whatever it is, I mean, I think feeding the market over time is smart and necessary if the game is growing. It's all has to do with, is the game growing? Can you get more people to buy, collect, desire the product? And hopefully they can, and they can keep feeding the market that supply unlike what we saw in beta, where it was very hit or miss at times, and it was gone, and then it was there many months later, and then in some regions it never really got there. That was problematic, and that I think really limited growth, and it hurt. It caused store attrition. In some cases, it prevented store growth. In some cases, it was an opportunity cost of what the growth could have been while demand was hottest coming off of the Kickstarter and their follow-up set. So it seems to me like there's a different approach to AL. Someone mentioned in chat here, they did say they were going to distribute that in waves. Distribute it in waves. I don't know. I mean, whether they printed it in waves. So they could print a lot of it, put it in a warehouse, and then distribute it in waves. It's the same thing as if to me, it doesn't matter whether they do that or if they print it multiple times and distribute it. It's all about what you distribute ultimately and when.
Right. The risk you have with this model too of restocking distribution is distribution can at some point say, no, I'm not buying anymore. Right. So like if you sell the distribution all up front, and let's say you have 100,000 boxes and you sell 100,000 to distribution, you've sold it, it's off your books, you've taken the money, but now your product is in the hands of somebody else. And that's a ton of risk, because what they do with it could be critical for your future. So in this instance, though, instead of doing it 100,000 at once, let's say they do it 10,000 at a time, 10 times. And then after the 5th time, distribution sees it's not selling. It ain't selling. So I'm not buying anymore. So at that point, if distribution says I'm not buying anymore, that's your risk, that you can't collect that entire cost up front of sale. But yeah, no, I agree. The difference with a store versus a distributor is distributors will sometimes sit on stuff. But I mean, it's not as often as maybe, I don't know. I shouldn't say not as often. It's just different than a store does. I think it's just a little different. It does occur. I mean, we've seen it with a lot of Magic products, right? Yeah. It happens with Magic all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing for me, I mean, I reflected a lot. Like I'm more into like art stuff and like super rare things in terms of a collectible. So, I mean, I don't get too emotional about what's going on with AL. I don't really care that much. I think I care from a perspective of I want the game to grow and be successful and expand. So I want it to be managed well, and I want it to be available to players. I actually ran a poll in the Discord, in my Collector Arthouse Discord, and in the community group today, and an overwhelming number. I said, "Are you primarily just a player? Are you a player and collector, or are you like a collector and or investor speculator type?" And overwhelmingly, people were both players and collectors. So I think like in Sorcery, especially, I've seen over the years a lot of people. I think even yourself, like they were more on the collecting side of the core product, and also got into art and stuff. So that growth kind of benefits all interest categories. So
the art's great
available to grow, but I think like just supply itself is almost irrelevant. It's like, how can you create demand? How can you create awareness of the game?
Yeah.
So that's, hopefully we'll see that. Yeah.
Here's what supply gives you, though. What supply tells you is, if they believe and a lot of folks have said this on the Discord, it's a brand new game. You got to give it time to collect it. It's not going to be, magic overnight. Okay. I don't disagree. However, the prices that we're looking at, mocks, graded moxes, power, any of those in Magic, is at one time was very comparable to Sorcery prices. And the problem is that the market said Sorcery is so collectible and rare that it's that collectible today. But what you have is EC telling you, no, these cards probably aren't going to be collectible for 10 to 30 years like Magic was. But that's really disparate from what the market believes. And if that's the case, that's fine. But that means everybody's cards are way overpriced. And hang on a second here. Let me just roll over. Props. I got props.
Good. It's like, I swear you're sitting on a skateboard and just kind of rolling around the room.
Just rolling around. This is just one random stack. All of these are just Arthurian Legends, like random, like sirs, random sirs. These are things I have personally. Each one of these represents a pack, and what that tells me, though, and you're absolutely right. What you're offering, though, Mike, is something that's truly collectible today, and a lot of these things may be like Arthurian Legends might be collectible, but I know, or I believe, that I have 3 more years to collect it. Right? And like, if the demand doesn't exceed the supply, which we know Sorcery and EC won't let that happen. They will print more, or more will come to market. They will not let demand exceed supply. Therefore, everybody should be able to collect the cards that they want to collect at a price point that's lower in the future than it is today. And that's where I'm at with it. I still want to collect all of it. I still have, I was showing earlier, Mike, I still have I just got a couple on the desk I'm sending off for grading, but the main two Arthurian Legends, there they are. Or, the main two polls. So what's Dan saying?
I found there's this button here I just noticed. So there's this beta thing where it will show the comments as people are typing. This is gonna be high risk now.
It is high risk.
A big distraction to the commentary, and who knows what these animals
get death threats.
We both have animal following. We'll let it run for a few minutes and see how dangerous it gets. But I mean, to me, like, I think Sorcery isn't the game for near-term returns and value and appreciation of stuff. I think like the 1-year cadence is a format that lends itself to a difficult situation where you need to make product available for extended time. And in the early going here, the company has had some struggles with growth and adoption and retention in some ways, and they're kind of late to this competitive scene. I mean, maybe they just didn't have initial plans for it initially, but whatever the case, I mean, it's now coming out, so we haven't seen what the impact is of that. Will that help with growth? Will it at least help with sustainment? I think it's a good thing regardless, because it creates an avenue for people to get out and play, which was a problem. I hear it in the Discords all the time. Like, well, some of the people in response to that poll were like, well, I would play if I had people to play with, or if there were a store nearby. I mean, these are the growing pains of any indie game. And I think this game has all the same growing pains that any indie would have. It's just kind of exacerbated by the some of the early supply issues like we talked about with beta, and then also the 1-year release cadence, and how do you create awareness and keep people interested for that extended time as you're trying to build that awareness, and sustain it, I think.
But my point, though, Mike, is that I don't disagree with anything you said. Only thing I'm saying is that all of the prices of folks' collections today are too high. So what I'm saying is that, I think, to your point, it's new. All of those things you say are true, but what that means is that everything we're out there is too high, and it needs to fall back to where it belongs. And it probably belongs, somewhere closer to a fifth of where it's at today. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that the market believed one thing, and Sorcery's telling us it's something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Let's dissect that a little bit. I think those expectations were a result of a few things. So they had the Kickstarter campaign. They partnered with Rudy. That brings in a typical type of speculators. Like, it creates massive awareness, which is a good thing. But it also comes with a lot of people that like to speculate on indies and the new hottest thing. And then as they're coming into the game and they don't know a whole lot about it, I think Rudy's an awareness engine, but he wasn't super knowledgeable on the project early on, so he didn't really, sell the ethos of the company, kind of the strategy and approach of what this game was. So people come in with the expectation that this is the next. You mentioned MTG and how these Moxes and old cards were low value early on and it exploded. People came in thinking this game was going to be a lot like Magic, because it had a lot of that, the Magic sensibilities and the old school vintage artwork and some of the Magic alpha artists and whatnot. But it's fundamentally extremely different, because the priority is on making a premium product. And I think part of that annual cycle is a function of the care and detail that Erik's going to put into commissioning original paintings, all the attention to detail he puts into the aesthetics of the card, the foil treatments. That is like an extremely long lead process to do all that work. So you're talking like, even if they hired more people and he trusted other art directors to come in and help him, maybe they get accelerated a little bit, but I don't think the desire to do so is even there. So fundamentally, it's not like what the company wants. They want it to be an annual release. They want to take their time. They want to have like one of the best looking products on the market, if not the best. Probably, they want the best, and that's what it is, right? It's a great looking game with the art, with the card styling, and the gameplay is also very strong. And they have the time to kind of work out the kinks on that and play test it extensively. So it's not Magic, and we can't have like Magic expectations. I think that's just people need to settle into being comfortable with that, or they're just going to be pissed off and frustrated all the time because they're not doing things to make it comparable to not just Magic, but other indies that are like super aggressive and putting out sets quarterly and going to tons of events and things like that. I think this is going to be like a slow growing game for years, and like kind of the first 5+ years will feel like what some games accomplish in some ways over the first 2 years in terms
if folks
of
stick around.
Yeah,
the average time in cardboard is 2 years.
Well, I mean, I think there's no question in my mind it'll stick it around. It's just at what size and scale.
No, if folks stick around, if sorcery, if the people stick around in order to, wait for it, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember Erik I was actually mowing the lawn today and listening back on the old interviews I was hearing from 3 years ago that the company was putting out, like predating. It was really early on when like some early adopters like myself and other guys it was funny because as they were reading off the questions, like half of them were from me because I was just peppering them with like tons of questions. But he was saying like, I asked like what his commitment level was to this project, given how when he started Path of Exile, he was like right out of college and, just starting his career. So it was like do or die, he was hungry and he needed to happen. Now he's established in his career, super successful. If it flops, that's terrible. It's a shame, but it's not going to ruin his life, So, but he said basically like he was very committed to it. This is a passion of his. He's going to treat it as such. And like, even if it's not the biggest thing in the world, he was committed to it. Right. Of course he wanted to be big. But so I don't know. I think people just jump to conclusions is like predominantly the issue. They want it to be, some people want it to be something that it isn't, and they're not yet comfortable with what it actually is. And just a slow burn that it's going to be a slow pace, slow growth, not like super aggressive, rampant growth and value appreciation that could come with that if it were to grow faster, right?
Yeah, but remember though, collectors don't really want growth, right? A collector just doesn't want to lose money, right? So like, and there's a couple comments in the chat too I saw about like $250 boxes. I'm not talking about values of like sealed product. I'm talking about singles being too high, because sealed products should naturally always be more than singles. You should never be able to crack sealed product and really it's an inverted EV scenario, right? That type of thing shouldn't happen. I am speaking about singles prices being comparable to 30-year-old Magic cards with a base of collectors of hundreds of thousands of people fighting for these things. And we have a community of 3,000 or less, we'll say active folks, probably 1,000 or less folks that are willing to actively fight for some of these high-end pieces. 1,000 or less people. And when you come into those types of numbers, that's where I'm saying the singles are too high. And yeah, I see like this fellow Jason Church in the chat. I did sell a bunch of stuff, but I sold a bunch, and I'm still holding a bunch. I'm holding what I believe are truly collectible or things that I really like. But yeah, I mean, I was collecting full sets, and I've sold some of them. And when I say sets, I mean that plural. Yes, it's been multiple sets. I mean, you kind of got me into the art though, Mike. So I have paintings and such now, and which is great. And those things I have no intention of selling or anything like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think for me, I looked at the game and I was collecting it based on one paradigm that was not accurate, that it was limited, that it was boutique, and these types of things that it's just not. And I think now the paradigm shifts when I see that they want to have product available for many years, that
But
they're
they didn't say
printing.
limited, to be fair.
What's that?
They didn't say it would be limited. They said it would be. They did call it a boutique passion project.
Yeah, you
I
have to
think.
understand though, like it's
I
not
think.
necessarily what they say; it's the perception that they give too, right?
Well, I think it's
yeah,
more like in their mind, collectibility was designed into the product, and they're on record saying that they want the core product to be. It's kind of interesting because as I was watching this interview back, like Simon was saying things like we want the core product to be the chase. I mean, that makes sense, right? That's what they're selling. That's how they're going to make their money, revenue, and profit. Um, and so like the chase and the premium they want to be intrinsic to the box. This might have been, maybe this was in the context of sample cards and stuff, which would make perfect sense that they want like the booster boxes to be the core desired thing. So the collectability within that is the foil rarities. So you have like the pull rates of foils are extremely rare, and the curios. And then Eric actually said that he had observed in other games, like of course Magic being the biggest, that there's like a vibrant artist proof market. He was talking about what artist proofs are and how he intended to give those to artists. And he said he hoped to see that in Sorcery, and we've seen that in spades. So I think those are like the really collectible aspects of the game, and the art, of course. So I think this game ultimately in the long term is going to appeal to a few different types of people. It won't be like the people that want it to be Magic. It won't be in terms of like big value collectability, speculation, investment opportunity. It's going to be people that love the art. When Eric talked about the two pillars of the game, it was another question I asked, like, is art like your top priority, or what would you say? And he's basically said it's both like art and gameplay, of course. Like those are the two pillars. So he wants to have amazing art and great gameplay. So I think people who will stick around and enjoy this game are people that love the game design concept, which is pretty innovative and fun and flavorful and unique, and that does retain your interest. And people that are really into the art and not as concerned, people that have the disposable income to enjoy art for what it is, like altars, artist proofs, original paintings, all those types of things, without the expectation of it being an investment or speculative vehicle per se. So we might lose those types, and that does make it a little more niche, because these games,
right.
like, I mean, certainly Pokemon and Magic, where these games appreciate in value, that draws like a massive population of people that's going to draw in. So you got to set that aside, and then people that stay, you got to be comfortable that perhaps there is an opportunity like that in that regard with this game, or maybe there is in an unconventional way where nobody expects it now because of the slow pace of things, and then many years from now, people are super nostalgic and those things. They want more people come into it. More people want that early stuff. That could still happen. I think it's going to take longer if it does.
And I think there's going to be a lot of people lost, because I think a lot of people felt that there would be a large degree of collectability here. But let's look at Noble's comment, because this is one we chatted a little bit about earlier. So EC said they wanted Sorcery to be a game you play in between your main games. A lot of consternation because the game blew up too quick and EC is not staffed. I totally agree. And I just sent Mike a message earlier about this, because I saw this awful short from Covenant, and it talks about, can't it just be a passion project? Can't it just be the passion? And the thing is it's like, again, we're going to go back to my LGS example. You're an LGS, there's tons of top quality, really good, new, excellent playing TCGs that hit the market. What's so special? I'm sorry. I mean, I love Sorcery too, and there's a lot of entitlement too sometimes in the Sorcery community. Well, it's Sorcery, so it's going to be the best. Well, no, there's a lot of other opportunities. There's Gundam coming out. I mean, there's a lot of other really big things. Riftbound that's going to hit. And if you're an LGS, why do you pick a company that's just going to kind of put their foot off the gas pedal and just coast the car down the road? I don't know. I think you're going to have a hard sell over something like that. It's and I was telling Mike, I wanted sorcery to be my main thing, right? I wasn't originally doing YouTube and sorcery. I came into sorcery, a little over 2.5 years ago on YouTube, and it almost became my main thing. Like I neglected magic because I loved it so much, but then sorcery says to you, no. It's not your main thing. Go find something else. Go back to magic for a while. Yeah, well, you can come back and we'll see us in a little bit. And that's not how you run something. I mean, yeah, the game can be great and the cards can be amazing, but what I think is I think that you're putting the whole project at risk when you're not really serious about the business aspect of it. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, like I say, I think, the people that are going to stay and remain interested and be drawn to this game are people that love the art and the gameplay. That's it. And people that aren't as worried about the pacing, being super competitive with quarterly releases and it being comparable to every other game that's out there. This game's different in that sense. And some people will like that and other people will hate that. And maybe that's okay. I think it's probably okay to Eric as long as he gets to commission great art and make fun games. Like
sure.
He says,
and that's what he wants to do.
Cards. And a fun game.
TCG Jimmy out there. It's not actually. I want to mention this. I mentioned this last time I was on Mike's channel here. I didn't make my name based on the Philosopher's Stone. I used to do a ton of woodworking in my wood shop, and I do a lot of pens. I have pen blanks over here that I cut down out of some wood. I fabricate, and I had a shop called Philosopher Pens. And I just picked the name Philosopher well before sorcery's ever, probably even, well, maybe it was in Eric's mind back in the early 2010s, but before anything. And then I actually converted this into Philosopher Cards. So it went from pens to cards, but has nothing to do with the Philosopher's Stone. I just want to make that point too, because there's a lot of folks that think that because I happened to find a game where the main poll is the same as my name. So it was a thing.
What are the odds? Yeah.
Yeah. What are the odds? It is. It's really a funny coincidence, man. It's kind of crazy. I love the hardest woods.
So we're going to have a break coming up. While we're talking here, I should have been prepping the my spacers for that. So I'm going to do that as we talk here. And then maybe transition to the next piece in like 10 or 15 minutes. But
it sounds good.
Topics did we not hit on before we go to the next stage?
I guess some final thoughts on where I would like to see Eric's Curious to turn around a bit or make some changes is, and obviously everybody, I know Jason in the audience is probably going nuts on this one, falling out of his chair, but just a roadmap. Like I said, that's the common roadmap that you normally hear. We still really
define roadmap. What do you want it to include, and what would that do for you?
I think it could be basic of just, hey, we are going to announce or launch Gothic in Q4 2025 or Q1 2026. The kitty cat promos, hey, remember you saw those in SorceryCon? Those are going to come in Q5 2026. Then the dust rewards that you saw, the dust rewards will also show up maybe in Q7 of 2024. And
all right, so fundamentally, why do you want that? Is it because you personally want something to look forward to, or do you think that would create a healthier dynamic for the game where it'll retain interest, keep people engaged?
It'll be a healthier dynamic for the game because, again, it all goes back to LGS being able to plan, right? Yeah. You're asking folks to invest, and I'm going to use that big I word. I know a lot of folks don't like it. Invest lots of money in sealed product for their stores. Invest time. Invest the opportunity cost of not buying Pokemon and Magic by buying Sorcery, and you can't tell them when to plan those funds. Like, it's important. It's important for this. I know I've heard it from LGS myself. It's necessary, but not only that, I think it's healthy for the community to be able to say, this is when it's coming and let's look forward to it. and this constant soonish, sooner rather than later, ASAP, we'll get to it. Like all of these answers are just, I don't know. I just, I don't think that respectful. I'd like to see serialized, to be honest, because if I have personal concerns around print sizes and collecting and how long things will be available, serialized are one modern day facet that prohibits or makes reprinting incredibly difficult. And so, for example, let's say you serialize the curios or some sort of a big chase pool, like maybe the gildeds, right? Serialize the gildeds. And what that does is it allows you to reprint the product without the gildeds. It allows you to reprint without these chase cards that collectors are after. And I think that's a win for collectors. I think out of print,
So I wonder if like the gildeds as like a subset art category and curios are problematic because they don't want to say what they are. So if you serialize them, you kind of lend credence to it or make it obvious that it's a curio. I think they like the idea, and they talked about this early on, of people like guessing, is this a curio? Is it not? That was actually a very creative way to create engagement, and we saw that very much so in the Discords and in the Facebook groups and stuff. But
serialized isn't about the gimmick. It's about them not being able to reprint. That's what serialized is about.
It's truly limited.
It's about the confidence. I mean, I don't care if I have a card. I don't care if my curio has a serialized number on it. I could care less. What that does is it's a promise, and it locks them in. They say, with that serial card, I can't reprint this, and that's a very important thing. The other thing I think they need are out of print announcements, and just say these things are out of print. They don't even have to say print runs, like promos.
Well, like you said, it's problematic because they I think, as an early stage company, their demand curve is very uncertain. So they're not going to say out of print if they have ambitions. They always say they got big plans they're working on and things they're going to do, initiatives they're going to roll out. They expect an ROI on those initiatives, and they expect that to be a catalyst for growth of the game. So they want to have the option of having product available to serve that market. But everything's uncertain in life, so how much and when? They don't know. So they got to make a decision logistically, make the purchase, buy the product, buy it multiple times, store it in a warehouse, pick an option and then figure out a strategy for how you're going to have it available as the game hopefully grows. I think those are the problems that they're probably trying to reason through and work out. So it's pretty difficult. I don't envy that job of trying to manage that.
Don't disagree with anything you're saying, but the repercussions of that are folks with a lot of money that want to collect something that's truly rare and valuable won't deploy it here because it's too risky that it's actually not as rare as they expected it to be. So the risk that they're running with this is, okay, we totally understand that, but at the flip side of that, folks are not going to buy as many boxes as maybe they did in the past. But you're exactly right. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. It's just there's consequences to both sides. You see what I mean?
Yeah, it's really hard to satisfy all stakeholders, but people, I think, with the expectation of what you're describing is going to turn out to be not the market for sorcery. I think they're going to get most frustrated and disenfranchised, and it'll be more like the hardcore art enthusiasts and gameplay lovers, and then
I agree.
Others who want to invest, speculate, expect near-term growth opportunity, value retention, that type of stuff. They're going to go into wait and see mode. And I think that's already happened. A lot of the hardcore early collectors or speculator types, people, putting huge positions, buyouts, like all this shit, they're going to wash out because
all these buyouts on Arthurian Legends. I'm just shaking my head. They're just going
to go into wait and see mode, which is fine. I mean, I guess as long as they can appeal strongly enough to collector or players and art enthusiasts, then that could be viable.
Now, unless it's a buyout of Sir Bors. That's a very important buyout.
All right, I got a couple wheels prepped now. We can do the so we're gonna have a big giveaway tonight of the uncut sheets. We could do a spin of that one. There was one guy I think that entered today. I wanted to give him a chance. All right, let me just get one more name on here. This will be interesting if they'll let me copy paste. Then we could see, it says sent 8 hours ago. We don't want that one. All right, so we had 61 people, I think, are in contention for the uncut sheet. All right, so we're I should probably
bad odds.
formally
Pretty
wind
good
down
odds.
the discussion part, because then I'm going to cut this, and then that's going to be a separate video.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
You can stick around too for the next.
I'll stick around a little while.
Yeah, all right. So thanks for coming on for the opening segment. It was a lot of fun. It was like covered a lot of ground. I mean, these things are complicated. There's no.
Yeah, for sure.
It's always been a leap of faith. We never know exactly what's going on or what the future holds, but that's part of the ride for sorcery, and people got to either embrace it or, and grip on tight, ride the roller coaster, even when it slows down and comes back in the station and then rockets off again at release. That's just how it's going to be, I think.
And don't get me wrong. One last thing, Mike. I do think sorcery long term is good. I just think there's more flushing out to occur and more folks understanding what the real market of sorcery is prior to it going back up. I think the long term, I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think sorcery is going to, I just think that I think the path is becoming more defined, and the folks that are churning out are the ones that are realizing that's not what they want.
Right. Yep. People that are realizing, I mean, it takes time to realize what a game is, what the ethos of the company and the management is, and decide if it's for them or not. They'll stick around or they'll leave.
Yeah, you're right, Noble. You're right. All right, me and Itza changed. I changed into the Doomsdayer, and Itza changed into the Pumper. We flipped positions.
All right, so what we need to do here.
What are you doing next, Mike? You doing the alpha box or the sheet?
Let's do the. Let me see. Maybe I'll make people wait for the giveaway, because people stick around for giveaways, but I want them to see some other stuff. So
you're not beating around the bush. You're like, you're all sticking around.
I'm gonna bait people to stick around, and let me put that up on stage. Yeah, we got to rope a dope these guys. All right, hang on. Let me. All right, so we're gonna be on the right side. So I've never done like card and art reveals with a guest on before, so you're gonna get the honor of the showcase. I usually spend like a solid hour on this, but I'll try to be efficient with it. So let me move the keyboard. All right, what do you want to see first? Do you want to see some cards with art on them, or would you rather see the original painting that's coming up for next week?
Oh man,
we're gonna do
Let's
both.
See the painting.
Sequencing.
Let's see the painting.
Painting. All right, this is a big one, man. All right, so I said we'll play a game of guess the painting. So you can participate. We'll also engage the chat in this. So what I'm going to do is like give a few clues, and let me see. I gotta be skillful about the clues so I don't directly give it away. So all right, so let's start with a high level one. Do you think it's all right? Pick a. Let's see. Let's go with Atlas, Site, or Spellbook. I'll let you pick, and then I'll let people in the chat chime in too.
Let's go with the Site.
All right.
We've had a lot of spell books.
Chat. We've had a lot of what? Spell books? Yeah. I mean, there's just a ton more that exist, I think, at least in alpha or AL.
Spellbook.
All right, we're getting some spellbook responses. All right, we got like 8 people on the wheel for the break. I got a few cards. So while people are guessing, I'll show this one really quick. This is the Sir Geharis. Garrus, I don't know. Garrus? Whatever the hell it is. Vasily or Malaya.
Garrus,
so Vasily,
I think.
Yeah. It took forever for Vasily to get his artist proofs. He finally got them. We sold like a full set that he had done that I was selling for one of the Avatar pledgers, and he painted them all. So I got him from the Avatar of the Realm, like one of the 4 top backers. I shipped them to Vasily in Russia. He painted all of them. Took forever. And then he sends them back to me, and it was awesome. I was able to do a showcase video of those. And now there were 2 others that he also did for auction. So this is the last of the 2, and that's the painting. So if you look in the background of the Sir, it's kind of, you see like these structures in the back. So that's what it is, kind of brought to the fore. 1 of 25. It was really cool how he did this like black border too. Like a lot of times artists will just leave that white or paint right to the edge. So I thought it was pretty cool and different. It's the first time we've seen someone create a border and put
a border on it,
the number in his name. So Yeah, so that one's up for this weekend. This one
I like the art on Garrus too. I always like that one.
Yeah, I love that. I have the original sketch somewhere, but this one, it kind of looks like a young Vasily in a way. I gotta ask
really? Yeah,
if it is, because the facial features are very much. It kind of looks like him, you know.
Interesting. Yeah,
but I don't know if that was intended or not. And the actually, when you look at it, like the his thing here is like so intricate, his armor and stuff. He really put a lot of detail into that. It was super cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we had this one from Vivian, Edge of the World.
Yeah, that looks beautiful.
Finished tonight. That was extremely well done.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
All right, so we had those two. All right, so the painting, let's see. How many people guessed? I think only Dan guessed. He said Spellbook, so he's wrong. You were right. It's an Atlas site.
Yeah.
All right, so next question. Which set do you think it's from? Could only be Alpha, Beta, or Arthurian Legends.
I'm going Arthurian Legends.
All right, AL, chat. Why do I have oh, I got him. Oh, that was you. You private messaged me earlier. I just saw that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you're back. All right, we got a bunch of AL guesses. This one, AL try. So Jason's narrowing it down. All right, so this is actually going to be from Alpha. Mike Pelly says Alpha. Mike Pelly in the house. It is an Alpha. It's an Alpha site.
Is it a river?
Nope, not a river. I think so. The rivers were Matt Thames' work. I think he sold all his stuff. I'm not entirely sure. So it is a.
You had your panda poll earlier. I was like, could you be
an element? I think I know the element, but I need to verify so I don't make an ass of myself. Yeah. Even admitting that I have to look it up is embarrassing. But let me see. Let me just make sure what resource it yields. Oh, okay. So maybe, yeah, I'd forgotten about this. It's kind of agnostic, let's say. So it has a Genesis effect. And it is I don't know if I should give away the rarity. It's an artist that I've sold paintings of before, but it's not an artist that I necessarily work directly with. It's an artist that kind of does their own thing. And so is
it a tower?
Being resold. No, it's not a tower because I do work with Mikhail Nagy-Paul to offer his stuff. So we got some guesses. Geistwood, that would be sick. If I was, I don't know.
It can't be another village.
No, it's not a basic site.
It's not a basic. Okay.
Yeah, it's not one of the basic sites. So we got Geistwood, Sinkhole, Battlefield / Boneyard, says Dan Mitchum. All right, so we're getting hotter. Let me I'll say maybe when I see the size, you guys will know how to guess the artist because we've seen this before. All right, so I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit. We got it on Crescent board. We've seen a few like this before. Noble guesses a desert. I said it's not a basic site. Look, you can't. Can you tell what that signature says? It's actually pretty difficult. And in fact, this artist typically does not sign on the back, as I recall. It's usually included in the face of the artwork. It's interesting that it's signed on the back as well. So 2021, it's pre-alpha. It's from alpha. Rodney Matthews, that would be insane. This stuff is so valuable. All right, so you guys can't tell by the size. The size, maybe it's hard to tell proportions, but it's about 8x11 or 9x12. All right, so it is a Seagrave. Dan said Seagrave. So now, what Seagrave sites? It might have been guessed in the chat, but you got to think Seagrave site now.
Ruins? No, not Ruins.
Ruins I offered recently. I sold that.
Yeah. One. And there's no Genesis there.
Yep.
Boneyard. Boneyard was guessed. No.
It's a Seagrave Alpha site with a Genesis effect, which actually does narrow it down quite a bit. They're all comparable.
Not Observatory. Observatory's Margaret.
It's a big one. All right, here's a clue that's really going to give it away. It's probably the most, in a way, I would say it's the most iconic playmat because it's one that so many people own.
Is it Zyros?
So many
Noble
people
get it?
with. No, because it was. Think of the first playmat that ever came out for Sorcery that everyone had and everyone played with.
Battlefield.
You got it, man.
Oh, there it is.
Battlefield.
Wow, that looks awesome.
Look at that sick detail. Weapons
that
and
looks awesome
everywhere. Yeah. That is a nice piece.
It's less blue and more gray, I think. There's more grays.
Well, it's actually kind of like a greenish blue. It does come across gray just because of the camera and the lighting, I think. You guys will see when I post the pictures on the community group in the Collector Arthouse Discord. But
no, well, that's what I always do too. I'm like that. So that's what it's like originally.
Don't pay any mind to the color saturation because it's very misleading under this lighting. But just look at the detail of everything going on. Like it's hard to really appreciate all the detail on a card, but when you see it full scale, it's just absolutely incredible, man. I got to ask him like how long it takes him to do something like that.
Look at the sword there.
Yeah.
Engraved.
So he puts his name in the sword or somewhere in the painting like that. Seagrave 21. Unbelievable. It's a masterpiece. All right, so that one's going to come up Sunday night to Friday night. That'll be a hot one. I think the ruins went to like 6K or something like that.
Yeah, maybe higher. I think I was looking at it. I mean
6 or 6.5 maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. The ruins is really nice. That's great too.
Yeah. It's nice, and it was a dual site, like one of the big ones, Strong Elements. But yeah, that Seagrave is that's an iconic piece because everyone has this playmat. Think about all the games that were played. Like when people think about their first games of Sorcery ever played, like so many people would have played it on this one.
Yeah, yeah,
so
for sure.
Those are the.
I have it right here on my desk. Yeah,
yeah. I used to take pictures of cards on that all the time.
Yeah.
All right. So the other thing I wanted to show is should I show the Magic card? You'll like this one, Steve.
Oh, okay.
First Magic card I've bought since this is an epic Magic card. This is the first Magic card I've ever bought since the 1990s. This is actually I should probably get this graded. It looks like it's pretty nicely centered.
It does look pretty good centered. It may be a little bit to the right, a little shifted right, but it looks pretty good.
But it's not your typical Magic card. You ready for this? It's a realism card. There it is, baby.
Wow, that's a great altar.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Smothering Tithe. I had to have it when I saw it. This is going to be everywhere.
Who did it?
I was going to do it like this. Just hold it up.
No, like who did the altar?
It's shit, I'm going to blank on the guy's name now. I see him on IG all the time. He does a lot of like real characters from movies and movie scenes.
Yeah,
like that.
That's awesome.
Shit, let me look it up because I want to give him his due props. And it's not I don't know where he signs it, if it's like kind of blended into
I was trying to see too if I could.
Yeah, it's hard to make out if and where he signs it. Let me go to Instagram. It took forever because the guy's in Germany, I think it is. And I don't know what the hell happened, but it took like over a month to get here. I was hoping to show this ages ago.
Jason's saying Klug. Maybe he knows.
No, it's not Klug. Yeah, that would be wildly expensive. His stuff is very valuable. Shit, where's my chat history only goes so far. I haven't talked to him in a while. Damn. Guys stumped the chump.
I do like it. It looks awesome.
Yeah. Oh, maybe this guy's good. I'll have to come back to it later. I don't want to waste too much time.
Yeah.
Let me see here. So I wanted to show you guys that one, and then the Explorer Series tournament that's going on. Hey John, what's up, man? So the Explorer Series, it's Keel. Some people call him Keel. So Kyle Raz Al Ghul. And who else is involved in that? Brandon Posey, I think, has a stake in it, and or at least he goes to a lot of them. And Bruce is involved in those things. I don't know if he's hosting or he just attended. Thought he was. So I worked with some of the altarists, and we're going to contribute a few altars. I have 2 of the altars. I think we said we were going to do 3 or 4 in total, but I have 2 of them in hand, so I wanted to showcase those. These are going to be prize support for the Explorer Series winner of the various events, right? And I think if Keel is still around, Kyle, he can tell you, like, hey, he is, the Chase Collectibles. All right, so Kyle, you can tell us how these are going to be used for which of the tournaments these will be used as prize support for. But essentially, between the Alterus and I, it creates great visibility for your Alterus and fun prize for people to win for their troubles in tournament play. So one of them's one of the Alterus you really like, Steve. So you like this one. I think it's the second one. All right, so this one's from Vivian Calazans.
Vivian, yeah,
the helpful hob. And then she sent me a few helpful hobs, and I actually kept one of them, but I selected this one. Actually, I auctioned one, and Kyle hits me up, and he's like, "Dude, wasn't that supposed to be for the prize support? We talked about helpful hob." And I was like, "Dude," I was like, "No," I was like, "Kyle, you've been pissing me off lately, man. It steals off. You're done." But I was just busting his balls. I was because the one that I auctioned was like this big like tree figure guy. And I was like, this is about the Explorer series. I was like, that guy's not going anywhere. He's like rooted into the earth. But this guy looks like a wandering nomad,
He does look like a wandering nomad.
Yeah, I thought that was perfect for Explorer series. So we'll have the helpful hob. Someone will win that in one of those tournaments. And then here's the one you're going to like, Steve, from one of your favorite Alterus artists.
Oh, yeah, man, is that amazing? She did an awesome job on that.
This is sick because
I love her stuff. Like, she just has a great take on some of the just like, kind of psychedelic, but at the same time, like it all fits.
Yeah, this one is
awesome.
This is super creative because this kind of resembles the Explorer series logo that the guys have, but it's kind of a navigational device in any case. So I thought that was awesome, building that into the eye, and then it's kind of like intergalactic in a way, or it kind of has this Explorer-esque element to it with the different planets and the wild stuff she always incorporates. Super detailed. I think that's going to be a bang. So
I love that one. Yeah,
right. The essence of Pathfinder is exploring. So I think this will be a top prize. Kyle had told me.
I'd have been bidding on that if it hits your auction.
Oh, Pathfinder will go to the winner of the Pathfinder category. And he says the helpful hob will go to the most amazing community member that contributed to the community during the season as voted on by the founding council. Yep. Jason just bid on that one. He wants it. $1.99. All right. All right. So you got to compete for that one in tournament play. All right. I think that's enough show and tell. We got a break to do. Actually, should we do the giveaway? I got the uncut sheet over here. So someone asked earlier, how do we win that? This was the uncut sheet. There's 24 of these. It's the non-foils, right? So it was a non-foil uncut sheet. A few weeks back, we were at maybe 4,700 members or so. And I said, once we get to 5,000, we'll give away that sheet. So the way people had to enter is you had to go to the Sorcery Community Facebook group, and you had to share the group and then include the screenshot of where you shared it, like on your socials. So that helped with the final push to get the 5K. And now we can go to the wheel. Let's go to the wheel and do that one. Then we could get into some alpha.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Uncut sheets are no joke.
Yeah. 24, man. Only 24 in the world, and it's alpha too.
Yeah.
There's no Arthurian legends around here. All right, hang on.
I have one myself. I have the land surveyor sheet.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right, so here's the wheel. 61 participants. There's people all over the world. All these people are in the Sorcery Community Facebook group. And here we go. Hi, drama.
Come on.
Dude, I think John entered it today. This was the guy I added just before the show started.
That's big.
I took it to the wire, and I was like, anyone that shares the group and shows evidence of it, we'll take it right down to the wire. And I literally populated this wheel, I think, as just before we were starting the show when I showed up a minute or two late.
That's awesome.
So John Tetzlaff is the winner.
Is John on? Is he watching?
I don't know.
You out there, John?
I don't think I know John. I think this is the first time I heard him chat. Let me go to the community group. There's us.
There we are.
Dan put it all over the thing. All right. So if you go to the community group in the featured banner here.
This is all foreign to me. I have no knowledge of these Facebook.
Yeah, I know.
Ways.
So if I go, here you go. John Tetzlaff. He posted it 4 hours ago. He enters the contest and he wins the freaking uncut sheet. Unbelievable.
Wow.
I wonder if there's a way I could figure out. I don't want to like give away all his info, but he shared it in a gaming Discord with a bunch of friends. So that's what I said. Like, share it somewhere, show the evidence. I guess his name is Zesty Beast or Zesty Beast. I don't know. Oh, he posted in a board gaming group? He put in a board gaming group. All right, so he's spreading the word to the board game group. Is that guy's busting my chops that I'm not using dark mode? I actually don't know how to convert a desktop to dark mode. I figured it out from my phone, and it was very disorienting. I was like, what is this dark mode? Because people were busting my chops. I showed my iPhone one time, and it was like just blinding my eyes.
Isn't your Discord in white mode too?
That's yeah, it was, but then I changed it to actually, yeah, if I go to Discord, I think everything is going to be on the computer, but on my iPhone settings, let me see what happens here. That's kind of funny. If I go to Discord, of course everyone's DMing me here. Yeah, there it is. So it's all in white mode. I don't know. There's a way to do it on Facebook somehow. I got to close this stuff because someone might DM me. So yeah, I was looking at the Seagrave site. Battlefield, it doesn't yield a threshold, but it's Genesis, conjure a broken weapon or armor. And then it's kind of a shame because you guys saw in the painting, there's so many weapons like all over the ground right under the text box. You know?
Yeah, you can't see it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you see it on the full art on the backside of the foil. But all right, so John won, man. Unbelievable.
That's awesome. Congrats.
My chops that it's in serial killer white mode. What a serial killer. I don't know, man. We've been doing white mode our whole lives. Now it's the worst thing in the world. So are you still doing breaks on your channel every now and then, or what's the deal with that?
Yeah, you know, I had one last week. Yeah, had one last week, and I think we're 15 packs away from breaking another one. So I probably think it'll go next week, probably Thursday or Friday. With the summertime, I've been moving things to some Thursdays, doing them on Thursday nights. But yeah, I'm kind of keeping the price. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm probably right at where the market is on TCG Player, right? I think TCG Player is like right at that $30 a pack, and that's kind of where my break is at the moment.
Yeah,
so
that's fair, man. I've been like,
yeah,
I'm above that for non-Patreon supporters, and then I went super aggressive for Patreon support, and that's what's kind of keeping it afloat. I like to do 2 boxes, like in a shot, at least 1, but 2 I think is fun.
Yeah. So like I'll do
doing.
Final Fantasy when that hits. Final Fantasy will break some of that. We've been doing some shard bugs too. I think we've done probably about 12 to 24 boxes of shard bugs, somewhere around that, maybe 24. So cool. It's been good.
Yeah, I saw Lewis.
Is that a hatchet?
You never see me use the axe tool? That's what I use the cut for. You gotta watch my breaks, man. Axe tool standard. People are always
axe tool.
In it. That's what I call it, the axe tool. Yeah, but you've been doing other stuff with like the dead. I was thinking, I don't know like how much time we're gonna have, but I have some Hyborian gates up there. I saw your video recently on Hyborian. Yeah. I got some of those, and I got some.
I just got a Victoria. So I don't know if you saw, I did get a Victoria card, which is like the hardest possible. Yeah. It was originally only a redemption card. Yeah. And I did manage to pick one up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're fun. Just collecting some of the old stuff, going back. Hyborian's good. Guardians, I'm going to try Guardians next.
Yeah, I got some Guardians up on the shelf.
Yeah.
Hyborian and the Braum art cards. We had a good time at SorceryCon in the after parties and in the hallway doing
that was great.
Cards, right?
Those Frazetta cards were awesome.
That was a good time for sure. All right, so we got Rook for 5. Yeah, those Frazetta cards are money because they got like all the sorcery cards are in there. I think are all of them in there? I think all of them were.
All of them were there.
Violent was. Yeah.
I think Violent was. Now you mention that, I don't know if I remember seeing it.
Yeah, you definitely have the Queen. Was Death Dealer in there?
Death Dealer was there, right? Both versions.
Yep, and Ruler of Thol.
Ruler,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we're doing Rook to kick off. I gotta pump my playmat here, though. There we go. All right. So these playmats, I'm still going back and forth with this.
Fill the playmat.
Yeah. This manufacturer, man, he's having a hard time. And now he's telling me like what happened. His cost is going up. Like, so I had all these pre-mats printed. I did a collaboration with Severin, and he sent me samples that looked amazing. But then the color saturation of the real deal was it wasn't close enough. I was like, dude, we gotta do something here. Oh, we got the Pollock with it's funny because we got the misattribution that I got on my initial box break, Santiago Caruso. It's an Alan Pollock.
Oh yeah,
artwork.
Doesn't Alan Pollock always have like a error with his?
It's almost like tradition, sadly.
It seems to be a tradition.
Because I think it happened again in Arthurian Legends. It was funny because I think I was at the booth. Like Eric walked up to him and apologized, and he was like, "I mean, Alan's like a super nice guy. He was very understanding." But yeah, it's obviously can be upsetting for an artist. I mean, thankfully the non-foil was correct. So
yeah, right.
It wasn't a total miss. And then I think when they reprinted, well, AL is what it is. When they printed beta, it got corrected, of course.
Yeah, right.
And I can't remember if there were like other issues in beta or if I want to say like because I thought there was something within the set where when they went to additional waves, they corrected it.
Yeah, there were some threshold foils. So like Courtesan was one that had Hasteagle was another. So both of those two cards in foil had the wrong threshold in beta first wave.
Oh, Kyle's saying
actually they might be beta all waves. Now that I think about it, yeah.
Kyle's saying fire breathing was the card from
yeah, that was the card in Arthurian Legends, yeah.
Yeah, I sold that painting recently. I actually still got it over there. I'm going to ship it off this weekend. The guy asked me to hold it for him.
Wow,
that was a beautiful painting.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Color Out of Space. I don't recall pulling that too much.
Okay.
All right, so we got a Tring. We're getting all the Alan Pollock cards. Are you pretty well versed on the pairings of like which cards are? Is it only like a few that are really paired together, or we only speculate like on the what comes with the philo?
So yes, the foils in alpha, there's just too few sample size of foils to really say. But the non-foils, the ruler often comes with the Courtesan, the Aquacore, I think often comes with the philo. So there are a few, I think, from a print sheet perspective, but they're all, I don't think, hey, it's going on too fluent. I don't think that holds with the foils or anything like that. I don't know of any mapping from a foil.
Right with the non-foils, because I in my it was funny, in my beta opening box, I got like basically a bunch of duds in terms of rarities of foils. But I did get a non-foil Eric's Curiosa, and I got like, I want to say those are often with the Frazettas, like that, because I want to say, did I get Death Dealer? No, I got Egyptian Queen and I got Ruler out of that box.
Yeah, Courtesan. I got to check those trolls. Check that troll.
Oh, the damn trolls. Yeah, I got Courtesan, Ruler, and Eric's Curiosa.
Yeah, Courtesan sometimes with Eric's Curiosa. I've had 4 boxes with Courtesan and Ruler together. A 5th box I've seen. Yeah, it was on Louis live. He did one. I actually won the Courtesan and Ruler together on that, oddly enough.
Oh,
then I've seen 3 boxes of the Stone and the Aquacore, and I've seen many boxes, I think 3, with the Eric's Curiosa and the Courtesan together. So Courtesan is definitely a good bellwether for a non-foil Courtesan. I just sent my foil Courtesan degrading. I got a 9.5 on it, so I'm pretty happy with that.
On which one?
My foil Courtesan.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Who do you grade with?
PCG. I do the PCG just because I think their grades are consistent, and I think they're fair. PSA, for example, is a disaster. He said that you just never know. It's a crapshoot.
Yeah, that's a bad feel if you get a shitty grade,
or if it's just like it's undeserved. It's sometimes I it's just good to have whatever it really is. Yeah, I do PCG. I have a full beta Curio set now with graded PCG. Just got my last 4 sketch avatars sent out for PCG in the latest deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about like value premium? Ooh, Elementalist is always nice. Of PCG versus like PSA or BGS.
Ooh, so nice pairs.
Jeff Toohey.
All right, Jeff.
He's always
I think it's value based on what. So for me, it's a premium for PCG because I grade everything with PCG in my collection. So okay. I would pay more for a PCG, but I would probably not pay any more for a Beckett, even though everybody loves Beckett. You know, that's like kind of we'll say the standard. For me, I wouldn't pay. It's not something that I look at, but maybe there's a little premium. Cave Trolls.
Are you a big graded card collector in general, or are you just recently getting into it?
No. Well, I have probably in my collection of Magic, everything Pokemon, I probably have somewhere between 500 to 1,000 graded cards. But most of them are PSA, obviously from Magic and Pokemon from back in the day. Devil's Egg, all right?
Yeah. So were you, what's your background? Were you like into Pokemon as a kid, or you just got into it?
Oh, yeah. I have up on the wall over there full PSA graded base set foils from when I was a kid. I don't really care what the grades are.
Oh, you got them all
the ones I had. Yeah. There were some of them were like, I think I have the Charizard's a 5 because I'd pulled that thing in and out of the sleeve 50,000 times. So I obviously destroyed it.
That's funny. Yeah, I think you're a little younger than me. So like when I was playing Magic like in the 90s, and I was probably like middle school age or something, you know, and I was like pretty young, so I was mostly revised era. But then like I graduated high school in 99. And like Pokemon was coming out, you know, like around that time, like 99, 2000.
It was 99.
Yeah. And it was put out by WotC. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? Like, people are into this like baby monster shit. Like, I didn't really know what Pokemon even was. Like, I don't think I even knew what like Charizard was, or like, I knew Pikachu, obviously, was probably the one I knew. I didn't know anything else about it whatsoever, but I was like, you know, WotC's putting this out, and like Magic was such a monster. I was like, maybe I'll go like on eBay and pick up like, so I picked up a booster box of base set and base set unlimited, I guess they call it, right? And like I think I got like 2 full sets. I'm short like a few of like the common cards of all cards of the base set unlimited. So I think I have like 2 full sets of the, what do we have here?
Oh, nice muzzle.
Elite. Yeah, so I got a sealed box. I still have it to this day. The base set unlimited, and like 2 full sets of base set unlimited. So I have all the foils. I think one of them is actually a shadowless too. At least one, if not 2. Chansey. It's like one of the more rare ones from what I understand.
Yeah.
But
the shadowless.
Yeah, so I just took a flyer on it, and then like I was just out of TCG because I moved halfway through freshman year of high school. I moved from Rochester, New York to like Philadelphia suburbs, basically. So I never played Magic again. I was completely out of TCGs for the longest time until really, well, I guess like during the COVID boom, I was hearing about Pokemon popping off, and like Magic was a big deal, and then Flesh and Blood came out. That was like the initial like throwback to Magic, and then Sorcery, of course, is like the real throwback, and it had the dedication to original art. So I got really into that. But I remembered I had these Pokemon cards, and I was like, I couldn't remember exactly what I had. I was like, I think I bought a box of those and like maybe, you know, some singles and stuff. And I went home and like it was in my parents' like it was in my toy chest in my childhood bedroom where I kept like all my sealed you know, back in the day we would buy full sets of like junk wax era baseball sets and stuff. So I had like a bunch of those. And then I found the Pokemon stuff, and I looked it up on eBay, and it was worth like 10 grand or something. I went and like told my parents, like, what do you think this is worth? And it was like 8 to 10. I think it like peaked at like 20 grand. And like, I don't know. My dad was like, you owe us rent for holding it for you for the last 20 years.
Yeah. I did sell some of my Pokemon collection from when I was a kid during the COVID boom. It was it was funny money. I remember I had a first edition foil Typhlosion that I graded, and Typhlosion was like the gym set, I think, and it wasn't like that. I mean, it's a good card, but it's not like, you know, it was graded like an 8 or a 7. I think it was. I had my auction on eBay ended up going for 900 on it. It's like, this is ridiculous.
I know. It's a weird time. Crazy.
It's a weird time. Yeah.
And Sorcery like came out during that boom, so they kind of, at least the tail end of it, right? They kind of benefited from that. I mean, we're still in that like area phase. I think we're still seeing a lot of that, a lot of speculators. So yeah, getting back to what we were talking about earlier, I mean, you had the monstrous Kickstarter, and it was like goosed by Rudy, of course, and just Alpha popped off like so strongly that people automatically started making those comparisons to Magic, and started, I think, like people that weren't involved from the very beginning maybe didn't fully appreciate kind of the culture of the company and dynamics, like what Eric's was all about, that this was a passion project, that he was the art director of Path of Exile, so like art was huge for him, and just designing a fun game, and like kind of where he is in his career and his life, that this is like really not supposed to be hyperscale or Magic or even Fab pace of a game. It's going to be a different beast.
Yeah.
So we're all adjusting to the new reality. For me, I mean, for me, like in my interest category of art, it's always been the same. So I don't like get too worked up about it.
If anything, you benefit, right? So like in the instances where you have those collector folks that want something truly collectible in Sorcery and want to stay in Sorcery, they shift to your offerings of, you know, altars, proofs, paintings, those types of things, which are truly collectible, because, you know, you can't, there's only 25, you know, proofs. That's it.
Yep.
So if anything, I think, like I said, I think it actually further pushes the case that, you know, of your value prop.
I need more top loaders.
Top loader run.
Yeah, and like the demo. There's junk everywhere just flying. The demographic of people that like buy original paintings are like people that are more like well off or well established in their careers, or have the financial means to just like enjoy art as a something to collect, right? They're successful in some way or another, that they have the financial means to do that. So their expectations aren't really the same as people maybe chasing, like speculating on alpha foils or curios and stuff like that, like the high-end rare cards.
There definitely is a slightly different demographic, that's for sure.
Yep. So that market could succeed, and there could be, even if the game doesn't like scale to even something like on Fab level, like let's say it stays like about where it is right now, you could still have that niche passion and interest where art categories could do well, which is great for everybody, especially the artists. Yeah, the artists are super excited because they own their copyrights. You know, a lot of them are
which is nice.
So used to being like abused and kicked around by WotC that it's very refreshing that they have such great ownership and leverage of their own work to do whatever they want.
Poor Too Fluent saying he lost his whole first edition and unlimited Pokemon stuff of 10 years ago. Jeez.
Lost it? Awful. How do you lose it?
In a move. In a house move.
Oh my God. Wouldn't you lose? You lose a box, or did you mishandle it yourself? That's like first edition too. How did you even have first edition? That's insane.
Nice imp.
Because from what I understand from first edition, when I got back into the hobby, you know, I would watch a lot of the Pokemon YouTubers. There's actually they have great content creators, man. Like some really interesting, very smart people, because it's such a the great old one. It's awesome. It's such a it appeals to like adults now who love that stuff as a kid. So again, like a more older, mature demographic, people that are successful in life and understand business and investing. So like the content is very interesting. I mean, of course, there's a bunch of stonker morons too. There's like a mix.
The whatnot folks are really rough in the Pokemon world right now. But there's a lot of good content creators out there, really are.
Yeah, like did you ever watch Pokenomics? That guy Jake from Pokenomics?
No, I don't think I have. No,
He's
I
a
can check
very
him out though.
smart, thoughtful guy. Like the guy was like a psychologist or a therapist of some kind. So he's pretty like thoughtful in the way he speaks and thinks about things. And he also comes from his father was like an art collector or dealer or something like that. So he's kind of got the pedigree. But anyway, there's like guys like that are like have very interesting perspective on the industry. I still listen to some of his stuff because it's broadly applicable to other games and just the industry in general. I find that kind of content fascinating.
You're talking to a degenerate over here, right? I'm watching Pokerev over here, ripping every possible Destined Rivals pack.
Yeah, the breaker channels. That's funny. Yeah, that's more of like a sensationalist hype channel. Who's that other guy? Leonhardt was like the other one.
Leonhardt, yeah. I prefer to watch Pokerev.
Yeah, I think I can get a ton of uniques now. I think Leonhardt's more for the like kids, you know, that like those the facial expressions and the dramatic reactions.
yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about the Pokemon market, it could be devastating when this thing finally comes back down to earth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I mean, it's free money. You have boxes that people are buying from distribution at $90 and insta selling at like, you know, 240, 250. And they'll instantly, like, you put them on somewhere, they're gone. And like Rudy just sold his Destined Rivals for 240 a piece and sold out in 13 minutes.
Wow. And
I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, it is weird how modern is so. But I mean, like to what we were talking about earlier, the demand equation on that is just like off the chain, right? So like Pokemon, they print an insane amount of Pokemon and they do it for years. Like I think it's like 2 to 3 years before it rotates out. So, you know, I mean, obviously Sorcery is not anywhere near that stage of demand and broad adoption. So
well, you know,
the
ETBs and such. So like the Elite Trainer bundles that have the dice and all the stuff inside the boxes, like the little bundle kits, they can't physically, because those are handmade, because you have to have somebody physically packing that box. They can't make enough of them because they don't have enough people to physically pack them.
Oh my
so
God.
they can only produce like booster boxes in mass, and they have the printers running on overdrive and they can't keep up.
Wow.
Yeah. But there's a situation where you know, printing more 100% makes sense. You know, you gotta kill some of that, because that's what's going on in the Pokemon market isn't good.
Yeah.
Garrison.
Yep. All right, Garrison's in for 5. Yeah. Got to figure out what is that? Oh, I think the divider was kind of chunking up.
Built-in scarcity from kids destroying the cards.
All right, let me see. What are people talking about in chat here?
2 Fluence first edition set.
Oh, but, talking about bugs. Rest in peace. We just did a proof of those.
And we got the boars.
Vastly, man. Wild.
Garrison gets around though. Well, Garrison likes to play the odds. Noble's saying, PC Garrison, you cheating on me with Mike.
we have overlap, guys that do both.
There's overlap.
Sides. Yeah. It's
and honestly, community. Like, yeah, honestly, I've bought into other breaks and other channels before too. So I mean, I think, you know, many different breaking people is a good thing.
Yeah, and that's also why the game. Battlefield. There you go. That's also why the game needs to grow. You know, to like.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter as much. It's great to have, you know, like, and the worst thing, like, I want people to stick around. You know, like when I look at the official Discord. And even people in my Discord, I mean, people have come and gone. Like people that were like super active and we were tight with early on. And the early adopters pre-alpha, there was like super high, like mega passionate people that were in those Discords every day. And some of them just like, some disappear and come back at release and some are gone. And that's like the saddest thing, you know, like losing touch with people.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I saw you.
I was actually talking to Noble about that one time. It's just, that is kind of the hardest part about doing some of this is seeing some people exiting.
Yep.
It's one of the harder things.
I'm impressed that some people, they're taking a pause, like Cho and stuff, you know, taking a back seat for a bit, really not actively buying. They still want to come to like SorceryCon and hang out and stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. It just kind of shows to like what I'm saying too is like, you know, just because you think that that you can buy a collection cheaper in the future doesn't mean that you hate the collection. It doesn't mean that you hate the cards or hate it. It doesn't mean any of that. It just I think Cho is one of the ones that views it the same as me, really likes it, but is looking at the market and says some of these singles I might be able to pick up for a lot cheaper in the future. You know, and if you're a person with a budget for a collection, so like let's say I have a budget of $10,000 for a collection, and I want to try to finish a set or do something with that. I want to try to make it go as far as possible, you know, and I want to try to get as many cards as I can, and maybe even pick up some additional things that I didn't even, you know, plan on. And I think that's really where the message is. The message is how much value can you get for your dollars in the collection for buying it, you know, and for trying to complete your collection.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fair too.
One of these days, I'm going to have to bite the bullet on an alpha P stone, and I know I'll have to do it. I mean, I feel like we've cracked 70 to 100 boxes on channel, and I've never pulled one.
Really?
I've never pulled one for someone. Yeah, I've never pulled one for someone else.
In 70 to 100 alpha boxes?
Yeah.
So that's probably that's like trying to do the math on cases. 10 cases or so?
Yeah, at least. Well, no, probably less than 10. Right? No, at least 10. At least 10. Because 10 would be 60. Yeah, I'd say like 12 to 13 cases. Easy.
Wow. I'm into the second box here. Yeah, so I've you've probably done more than me, I would think, because I like early on I was doing wild stuff where I was opening like a full case. I think did I open 2 cases one time? I was doing like case level breaks.
Yeah, you did 2 cases. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so insane. I think it took me over 4 hours to get through it. And I didn't even do like my typical 1 hour opener.
Well, I mean, there's the issues too that, you know, is keeping them organized. Like I worry, I have an office here, 3 young kids. I worry someone's going to break in the morning or something, run down the stairs at 4 a.m. and bust into my office like a Kool-Aid man and just destroy all my cards. And then what? Because then everybody's piles are messed up. And I'm like, oh no, if that happens, I make sure everything's locked.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 for Notion. Yeah, I have this like bulk box, and I use these dividers now, and I got a label maker, so I slapped a label on there, and I got them.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Then I try to get them out the door as soon as possible to be timely and not have the liability. But sometimes like guys want you to hold them. I'm sure you've dealt with this too, where people want you to hold stuff.
I have a huge stack over there.
All at once.
I've held.
Yeah, right. Just for economies of scale with shipping, saving on shipping cost. Same with like proofs too. Some guys like I got proofs and alters, a bunch of them, or even paintings. Some are like, I think I'm gonna be interested in more paintings coming up, so just hold on to that. Yeah, I was like, oh man, I feel bad. Like you should be enjoying this. You know, I gotta send this.
It is kind of nice. You get to hold on to that.
Yeah, it's wild. Some people are super passionate. Oh, I love that one.
Blood Ravens.
Dude, I've seen like so many original paintings. It's got to be close to 100 at this point across a lot of them alpha, really, and then lesser so Arthurian Legends, but a good number of AL at this point too.
I really like AL. I like, you know, a lot of the art in it. I love the set.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to see what happens with the Sir Lancelot. It didn't quite hit reserve, so got to figure out if someone's going to want to grab that one. That's a sick.
Oh.
It's stalled at 3,100, which isn't bad. It's a sick. 3,100 for mix for you know, one of the
very nice,
the top figures in the lore, you know, and it's a great painting too. Pollock does great stuff.
Yeah.
The candy cane lance was that?
Yeah, I have one. I got the Squire.
Yep.
What's that?
He's got that like the lance in the painting. It kind of looks like a candy cane.
Oh, it does look like a candy cane.
It's so vintage.
Yeah, I have the Reckless Squire. The Reckless Squire has the lance too.
Yeah. The Squire. I remember that. We haven't had any super crazy foils yet. We're on box 2.
No.
So this was a brand new case, I think, as well. I thought I had some in the last case, but did not. Yeah, that Battlefield will be an interesting one. That's such a big piece.
Yeah.
Alpha Seagrave. People love the Atlas sites. It's kind of cool to have landscape art like that. Do you have any sites, or you do all spellbook stuff?
I don't have any sites actually. They're all spell books. Yeah, a site would be nice. I really want a village. I need to keep my eye out for another village. I think you had which one did you have up recently? Was it common or humble?
Rustic. I thought it was. I own humble personally.
Yeah. Okay.
It was rustic. Pretty sure. Or no, was it simple? Maybe it was simple.
Maybe simple.
I think it was simple. That's funny. I get the names mixed up. Yeah, this is the one I own the original of. It's sick, man.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
It's a beautiful painting. It looks great. Yeah, I love Modesty. I don't expect to see Modesty in Gothic, I don't think. So I don't know what's gonna come of him, man. Because I don't know what's coming after Gothic. There hasn't been a lot of speculation and rumors per se of what could come next. It's a little bit premature.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I first heard the rumors of Gothic. I want to say it was probably that Gen Con time was the first time I heard the rumors of Gothic.
Yeah, we were all calling it like Angels and Demons for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they were using codename Gothic, and then it just stuck, I guess, is the story.
Noble or Too Fluent was asking when the Dragon set in Gothic is supposed to drop, and have they announced it? So
Dragon Lord's coming out of Gen Con.
And then through normal distribution channels. Regular distribution. Oh, nice Mirage.
Yeah. We were talking, I don't get to see that one often. It's an elite, so it's pretty rare. We were talking about roadmap earlier. The key thing, like the most valuable reason why I want to know the roadmap is for planning SorceryCon, of course.
So yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Did I announce it in the Discord? Did you see that we announced we're pushing SorceryCon the first quarter?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I was
what do you do?
So every Monday night we have a planning meeting, like me, David, Alex, and this guy Carter, and a couple other guys who are on the planning committee. And we were talking about it, and I was telling them, I was like, guys, I think we just got to announce that we got to push it, because this is a cool card. This is my favorite Aussie artwork, I think, from Alpha. And I was like, because think about it. If we want people to come to the biggest event of the year and commit travel, they're probably, a lot of people will only travel to one event per year, maybe two.
Yeah.
I was like, I think we got to give them a solid 6 months notice. And here we are in May already. If it's going to be a practical time before Christmas and Thanksgiving, we're talking November. We're already in the 5 to 6 month window, and we have no idea when Gothic is coming. So I was like, at this point, it's just too risky. Let's push it to Q1, and then people can get through their holidays and then be recharged for next year.
Yeah. I mean, I should have pushed it over.
Oh, isn't that one of the super rare ones?
That's a poll. I always thought it was. I think, the going rate for it right now is that, 300 to 350-ish. Yeah, oddly enough, because I think at first it was one of the super rare ones like Geistwood, but I still consider it a really rare one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
Geistwood is big. I don't think I've ever pulled the smokestacks. We were just talking about this.
I've never pulled a smokestacks.
Wow. Yeah, I think it was in the Facebook group. We were talking about it because someone was saying, I don't know how it came, or maybe it was in the Discord. And I did a behind the art article about it, and I asked Ian Miller about it. And he said it was from this old book. He said it was he's British, he's from the UK, so I think it's common to say this term, but it was kind of funny to me. He said it was something like a very serious tome is the term he used. Tome. I was like, I don't think I've ever said that word in my life. And I thought he might have been joking. The guy jokes around like a lot. He's got a hilarious sense of humor. But it was called like, it was something about like Pride and Justice or some kind of, I don't know if it was like a legal type book or.
Yeah.
So when he said serious tome, he meant it was like a very serious subject matter.
Yeah. And Noble's saying 700 on TCG Player. This is just like the disparate pricing on like what the real market is. So I sold one. I bought one recently for $250, and I think I sold it right around that like $3 to $350 price point with shipping. Nice whirling blades.
Yeah, remember I displayed that at Courtesan last year, and then I auctioned it when I got back.
Yeah.
I auctioned it. Yes, I wanted to. That was the
plan.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It at the event, then auction it. Yeah, so
600's even too high for it. I mean, you can go on eBay and get it right around that $300 to $400 price point. But I mean, that's the real price right now, right? Yeah.
It's because it's not available, like all these foils. You know, when it's not available, you just name a price, and then if people want it badly enough, they'll pay anything. You get these.
Think about it though. $300 to $400 is still a really good price. I mean, it's it's a hit. You know, that's half the box. It's half a box. So it's good.
There's a few like pet peeves.
Oh, this is good.
Oh, we got a foil mix.
Yeah, very nice.
Wow, Notion Thief. Like he got the last 14 packs and absolutely crushed in this.
Yeah, wow.
Wow, an elite mix. That's hot. That's awesome. I pull a lot of those non-foils. Man,
that actually looked pretty clean too.
Yeah. Yeah, the smokestack looked like it had a smudge on it, but this looks pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, bangers to close. These ones are good.
Yeah, so one of the pet peeves is like buyouts, because that's kind of a joke in Sorcery that they're so scarce that you could buy out anything. Literally anything you could buy out pretty reasonably. And then let's see how he did here. He's got the mix, he got the unique, ordinary.
He did really good.
Oh, and then you got the elite there, ordinary beast. Wow, 14 packs crushed. That's and the great. Other thing is like when people say, oh, this is, even Rudy pulls this shit. Like, it's the last copy on TCG Player, and then it's going to jump $200.
Yeah.
As if like no one else is going to step in and like add to the supply.
No more exists in the world.
Yeah. It's like 3 left, and then it's going to $1 million. Get out of here with that shit. That never happens. Like, how can people even say that with a serious face anymore? All right. I've got three people left. Good. 3 labels left. Laxon. You know Laxon.
Oh yeah. Good old Laxon.
So he's the guy that tracks the he's tracking the membership in official Discord. And it looked like kind of bleak there for a bit, to be honest.
It was really bleak.
There was a bit of a surge, I guess, this month. So relatively speaking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it was like trickling along, and then recently there has been a bit of an uptick. I don't know what it is that's causing it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know if it's like seasonality, or I mean, they have been doing more of a marketing push of Dragon Lord. I think like Ed Bear Jr. is doing a great job of. Ed Bear Jr. is like the perfect artist you want to commission, because he's such a showman and salesman, you know. He's shouting it on every mountain. He's going to the Ren Fairs. Nice. You know, he lives like probably in your neck of the woods.
He does. Yeah. He lives fairly close. So like, if I'm trying to grow Sorcery, you know, I can't believe EC doesn't reach out to, you know, Ed, you know, some of us that live out in this way. And anytime that there's a convention, say, hey, here's some materials, go sit at the booth and represent Sorcery. You guys want to do that? Yeah. I do it. You know,
when Dragon Lord's out, I mean, Ed's going to be out there, man. He's going to be peppering Ed like all over the place for sure.
Yeah. You could be right. It could be a lot of Ed bringing folks in, which is good.
Yeah. Because he's been out to a lot of Ren Fairs, like nonstop. He calls me all the time, and he's like, Mike, I'm in the car. I'm on my way to like Tennessee or something, you know? Like, we'll talk for like an hour. He talks a lot. It's funny.
Like, he's doing it right. Like, I just feel like everyone at EC should be like, that's just what I think, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing it. Oh, here we go. Gridlord. Let's see it.
Oh
Gridlord.
man, I love Gridlord. It's one of my favorite curios. What are your favorite alpha curios?
I really like the 9 card.
Yeah, me too. Love that.
I like that one a lot. I really like the Free City just because it connects. Oh, nice hit.
Dome. So this is for Laxton. Wow.
Was this the same box as the smokestacks?
I think so. Oh yeah,
wow.
the Ocean Thief one. Did he straddle both? I think he straddled both boxes, but it might be. This might be a double unique box.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a sick hit. That's a beautiful card.
Were these two the top boxes in the case?
Yep. Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Usually see hits in those.
So you can, well, by all accounts, I'm going to get stoned on your chat again here saying making claims.
So, yeah, caveat.
But the first top 2 boxes are only the boxes in the case that you can find a curio in.
Oh, really?
That has proven true for me.
Interesting. But you've opened we're talking over 10 or less cases, right? Oh, it's upside down. That's interesting.
Yeah, but I've pulled how many curios now? I've pulled 3 curios. And nice headless. And 2 of them were from a top box, and 1 of them was from a sticker box. So if you hear people talking about the sticker boxes, that means that the sticker boxes were sold in the Kickstarter, not part of a whole case. They were folks that bought 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, right? So they had individual SKUs on the bottom of the boxes as stickers on the wrapper, which means that you don't know what position of the case it was in. Okay. Right. So if you don't know what position it was in theory, you have just as much of a chance as any to pull a curio. Once you know the position of the box in the case, the top 2 are known to be only curio boxes. And that has been the case for the curios we've pulled. It's only been the top 2. I've heard that Big Breakers and Alpha knew that. And it was the same way for Beta Wave 1 too, fixed in Beta Summer. And I've heard that folks would break the top 2 to get a sense of cases that were clumped with good ones. You'd get a sense in the top 2 boxes, or you'd get the curio and sell off the rest of the case.
Yeah. That's risky too. I mean, it's not, the value's not all in the curios. Granted, they're huge, but or at least they were. I don't know. They kind of softened a little bit, but I don't know. You really don't see them. Like, when's the last time you saw a 9-piece even offered for sale? Like, no one brings that to market.
9-piece. It's been a couple months. It's been months. I think the last time I saw it go, it was in like the $1,500 to $2,000 range for a 9-piece. Somewhere around there. I did see a Free City go for $1,000. I regret not buying that one. That was the lowest Yeah, that's the lowest I've ever seen. I bought the Grim Tangle curio for $534, which was insane.
Was that eBay? Like an eBay listing?
It was eBay.
Yeah.
Which was insane. Self same went for $600-700. I regret not buying that one too.
6 or 7. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have some of those ones that were like kind of not really historically relevant. Those ones pissed me off, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just never like chased those. But I have a lot of the other great ones. Like I don't have Brahm or Death Dealer, sadly. I do have River
Brahm would be.
Yeah. And I have 9-piece. I got that one pretty early on. I love that. I agree.
Oh, you do have the 9-piece?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
9.
Yeah.
10, 11, 12. Well, down to the last 2 people. 13. 14.
Yeah, Noble swiped that River Styx from a Cold Foil Hero deal on Black Friday. I remember that. That was a good deal.
Yeah. What did it go for? You remember?
No, but what would you buy that for? I don't. Was it $1,400, $1,500, $1,600? I don't remember, but it was still. I mean, it's a good rate.
Yeah,
there's just so few of them.
Like you never really see that available. What did the Brahm go for? I never see that guy around anymore. Banks.
Yeah, I saw Cold Foil Hero sell one at SorceryCon. I saw him sold a Brahm. I forget what it was listed for though. There was so much going on. 14. That's what I thought. Yeah. 7. Is that what it went for? Yeah, 1,400 for the River Styx, but it's 7,000. Is that what the Braum went for at SorceryCon? I don't remember.
I got a dome non-foil. Rustic River. Yeah, it was the it was a simple village. I mean, maybe it was rustic. Damn it. I know. I think it was simple. Didn't have the sheep. I don't know. Losing my mind here. All right.
Yeah,
So
Braum is probably my favorite, though. Now that you mention it, I mean, how can Braum not be?
7 for Braum. It's between that. I mean, there's like some hardcore Frazetta fans, you know.
Yeah, true.
The alternate art debt dealer was pretty sexy.
Check this out. I don't know if you guys saw these. They have these silver coins, and they're a tribute to Frazetta, and it's really bad with this camera, but I have
that's pretty sweet.
I got a bunch of these. Yeah, 2 ounces of pure silver.
That's sick. Did you buy it on the Frazetta website?
No, Golden State Mint, whatever that is.
Wow.
It seems sketchy. You go out there, but I bought like 10 of them because I'm like, this is pretty awesome.
What do they go for? Is it the price of silver?
Yeah, spot price of silver per ounce by weight. So it's 2 ounce coins. There's something like $70 a coin or something like that.
Wow, that's
nice Kingdom.
Yeah.
All right, Mega Amoeba.
I mean, if you're gonna like collect a precious metal, why not get it with amazing Frazetta artwork on it?
Right.
I like that. That's a smart call. It's like a 2 for 1.
It's a 2 for 1.
Yeah, that's sick.
It should hold its value, no matter how many they print. No matter how many they print.
So Noble says Gridlord is the GOAT. Yeah, I own a Gridlord too. I don't know if I mentioned that.
What? I didn't know that. I didn't know you had a Gridlord.
I have a bunch of the alpha foils. I was going for those early. Yeah, I think I got the Gridlord and the 9-piece pretty early on. Fortunately, I pulled the trigger on those because they just don't become available very often.
Yeah.
No one's pulling them, you know? Who's really opening alpha at scale anymore?
No, yeah. Which is why
do it.
I was saying last week too, I think everybody left, all of the grumpy folks, but I actually did say last week that I believe alpha bottomed. I mean, I think we're in a point where, another Kingdom. That's your second Kingdom, right?
Kingdom. Yeah. That's a great artwork.
Alpha bottomed, I think. I'm seeing it now for at least a month or so of pretty flat prices. And the thing is to your point, we're not getting any more alpha. Oh, nice Jihad.
Yeah.
Great hit.
Is it that I'll sleeve that up. Is it that I wonder if it's stabilized because it's just kind of like in a neutral place where there's not a lot of buyers and there's not a lot of sellers. Sometimes prices can artificially stall. Like Rudy was doing that a lot, where he'd like make his like random occasional video where he's like, prices are very stable, and I was like, well, that's because there's no sellers and there's no buyers, so we have no price data. In
trading, it's called like a flat line. And what happens is because it moves sideways completely flat because there's no buying or selling. And usually that's a really bad indicator. But I think with alpha, like I can tell you guys too, I've sold without breaking boxes. I have boxes on consignment, and I've sold 2 cases worth of alpha in the past month. 2 cases
of wait, say that again.
2 cases of boxes of alpha I've sold in the past month, and that tells me I'm seeing buying of alpha pretty hard, and the prices are kind of flat. I'm seeing lots of nibbling, at least on the sealed, and folks doing that. So to me, it kind of feels like it might be a real bottom. Now, Sorcery, EC can come out and do something real stupid and like it tank it again, which is quite possible. That's what I was saying before. Very possible. But I think at the moment, with no more information than what we have, it's the best time that I've seen yet for alpha prices. So.
Yeah, alpha is pretty great. It still feels special, even though it kind of retraced a bit and things got slow. Some collectors exited.
I have 10 boxes sitting over there. It's so hard not to not to go find out what's inside them.
Another runs. Pirate ships, banger. So you got just 2 foils so far and 15 packs. That's pretty soft.
Yeah, Mega Meep's pretty good, but I mean Jihad's not bad, but yeah. All right, a little Mother Nature.
Maybe I'll show. I got a I have a Mother Nature. Coincidentally, I have a Mother's Nature artist proof that I was going to run this week. Maybe I'll show that one.
Yeah, show it off.
It's pretty. I like to do a few previews of what's coming up. Let me stack that away. I'm just finished. We got one guy left, so we'll do the obligatory solo spin. Omega. He was the one having trouble like talking in the chat for some reason earlier.
Oh yeah.
I was like, you got to subscribe to the channel. He's like, I did that. I was like, dude, I have no idea, man. I don't know what happened. All right, I think we did it right. We got 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's the last of the box. So there's a theory of like the curio. What did they say? The curios like in the bottom right last pack. If it's in there, that's what people speculate.
Oh, that I haven't noticed.
Yeah, I think that's. I think that's a thing that people seem to believe is true.
Bottom right last pack, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. It's very possible. It's very possible.
Alpha just hits different. Yep, that's true. It's high stakes in Alpha. Because there's like, think about it, there's a lot of like amazing like foils that still have pretty strong value.
I mean, look at the avatars. The avatars, like your waters and such, like these guys are going up. They're going up in value.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the avatar full art promos?
Yeah, what do you think? Well, I mean, let's start with you.
I would not be happy to see the elemental avatars. I want them to just be retired forever, just like the Frazettas. So that would annoy me. Because it especially annoys me because it's a prize for players. And yeah, again, like I said, the surveys and the data shows that a lot of people are players and collectors, but there's also a lot of player purists that just like flip it, or I don't know. It's just like the collectors will desire that strongly. And it kind of sucks that like the only way to get it really is to play or pay, which again, like granted is kind of fair in a way, but it's like a very collectible collector item. You got to play to get it. It's kind of like the irony of it. I guess that's just the reality of how promos are, but I just don't want to see the elemental avatars reprinted.
He didn't. I mean, you know the history more than I do with this, but didn't they say they would never reprint that art?
I think they were very careful with the words and said it in such a way that like it wouldn't be done the same way, you know? So like maybe, I don't know. I'd have to go back and dig up how it was, because like it was unclear and we were asking for clarity on that, especially like I was one of the 4 top backers. So I remember like a few of us that top backed like kind of wanted some clarity on that because we got the original painting for them, you know? We got one of the original Avatar paintings. So we wanted it to be like a special, unique inclusion.
It feels like it's like a little bit of a breach to me. I mean, the one thing that was going through my mind was the sketch curios. The sketch curios have the same art, and technically, they were printed that way. Of what it looks like, these rainbow foils don't have the text. Right, it has the symbol on the bottom, but no text. And if that's the case, and it's a textless version where it's not playable in an event, then you enter into the same situation that Magic did with the collector's editions, with the Magic 30. Oh, nice river, with the Magic 30 and such, and. I think you're running a risk of breaking more trust with that. And I think they could have easily picked a different art and said, this is the art you win if we use the Avatar water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. Or I don't know, or like give them the beta one. I don't know if that's too different to go with like Wave Shaper or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
That could be a way to do it. I don't know. Yeah, I'd prefer that they not be reused again in any way. That they were just like purely exclusive to alpha. Because now
The
you're
risk
down
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's to stop them from doing it again?
Yeah, and then
You
like
know?
yet another different treatment kind of thing.
The
That wouldn't be
lines
great.
just they keep moving the mark and just moving it. It's like, are you gonna not do it, or are you gonna So I agree with you. I think it's a
Yeah.
dangerous path, and I think if they use a different art, that's the way to go.
Right. Yep. Keep it exclusive and rare. All right, let me grab this Severin card really quick here. Where did I put it? There we go.
Yeah, it's more than just a champion card, Charles. I see what you're saying, but at the same point, like, you have to remember, we're only going on what they tell us, right? And if they say that they're not gonna reprint something, or it's just a very careful line that you're walking that could mean that people lose more trust, and that's not what you want. I think it's a fine line.
Yeah.
Is it necessary, right? Is it necessary, and can you do something else to satisfy what you're trying to do? And I think the answer is yes.
Yep. Clarity is important. Expectation management, as we always say. That was a cool. Do you have one of those? The sketch cards that Eric signed?
No. I almost pulled the trigger on one the other day. I'm really careful on the promos, though. I'm careful on the promos just from the. Oh, is that the Bluma Frogs? Nice. Oh, let's look at that Grid Lord first. Oh, you have two Relentless Crowds.
I had 3. I sold one.
Did you?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, someone really wanted it. I think I auctioned one, and it was like one of the guys from Patreon and Discord. And I was like, hey man, if you really want one, I'll sell you one of mine for a comparable price. And now like someone's been really hitting me up for a long time on one of my other ones, but I don't want to give up another one. So these are the only 2 AL ones I have are Unladen and Women. They're both awesome. Those were my favorites.
Yeah, those are great.
There were some other pretty nice ones, but then the Step,
of course,
is the big one. Yeah, the Relentless Crowds. These are pretty sick. They look like they're in great shape. Yeah, I won a couple early on. Like when I was telling you, I was peppering Eric with those questions. One of the Q&As he did pre-alpha, like well before alpha, they picked, like, Eric picked his favorite question that was asked, and he picked like my question, so I got one of those that way. And then I forgot how I got the other one. It might have been, I forget.
Graham. All right, we got the Graham.
One way or another. The Graham. Here's the 9-piece.
Yeah, someone in chat was saying they never saw a 9-piece. So this is it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Justin, yeah, that's it. I love this one. Yeah. Some people didn't like it. Oh, the River Sticks.
River, yeah.
That's a hot one. Grid Lord,
that's awesome. What's the front look like? Flip that sucker over.
Oh, it's just a sorcerer.
Yeah. A little maybe darker.
It's interesting how it goes all the way to the rim.
It does. It is really interesting.
Because like the normal, it doesn't have the normal border. Oh.
Yeah.
Was it focused?
Yeah.
So maybe that was the original idea. I'm not sure. Probably was.
Nice belfry.
Yep. Really like that.
I love this one too.
People love the crows. Yeah, Bloom is a beautiful card. I love the color. The colors. So the
Sidewind. Yeah.
Sidewind, and I get these mixed up, but it's the Wind Blast and the Sidewind. One of them's a sample card, and the other one's the Curio.
Yeah, that's the Curio art, but I think that's the sample, right?
This one here?
Yeah, that's sample, right?
Oh, okay. Maybe that's the sample, and this is the Curio then.
Yeah, because it was called Wind Blast as a Curio, but it had the Sidewind art. Yeah.
You're right. Yep. The different name was the
That's awesome.
So we got a bunch of the alphas there. And then,
well, you do have some cardboard.
Got a little bit of cardboard. And then, did you know I had the gems too? Did you see when I flexed those?
I don't know that I did.
Some sample packs there. The gems, man. So I got the world, all the different world variants of the sample packs from all different regions of the world, and then these are the first edition sample packs. Those are pretty hot.
Yeah.
But this here are the 4 sample gems. So this is the only complete set we know of in the world. Because
I don't think I knew you had those either.
This is the only one that's ever been pulled of the Windward gem. So I was looking at this. I acquired this from a guy, and I was like, dude, did you take like a close look at this Windward gem? Look how like miscentered it is. You see how like this candle is all the way to the edge?
Yeah.
On the back, the back you could see how fat
it's way off center. Yeah.
Yep. But it's like, I don't know if it's a misprint technically, because like this is the only one that's ever been discovered that we know of. So it might just be one of those weird things. Because like there's a few other people. There's a few
Hero says open a sample.
There's open a sample pack. There's a few of these that number like in the single digits, like less than single digits. I don't know. It's in Eric's spreadsheet that I have on the Collector Arthouse site. But yeah, that the full set is like pretty sick. The gems.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah. All right. So the last thing we got to do here is the Mother Nature is going to be coming up. I might run this one Sunday night. We'll see. But this is coming up this week. So unique alpha, artist proof from Severn, from the Kitty series.
Wow. That looks awesome.
She loves painting cats, so she did this series, and I think sometimes I don't know if the lighting will pick it up, but she uses this like metallic kind of paint that almost has like a foil effect. You can see the hair of the cat up top. She uses like a silver dab there, and then there's like a couple gold ones in the flowers throughout, and the butterflies, which is pretty cool.
Awesome.
When we did embellish prints, she did a similar type effect. But yeah, the grass scene, if I go too close, it's very colorful. Mother Nature.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, somehow we got all this done in 2.5 hours. I'm shocked.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
I can't believe I was able to stick around, which is good.
Yeah, it was fun. I appreciate it. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
So
yeah, me too. Thanks for having me. Sorry if I caused too much trouble with the first hour. It was
yeah. I mean, there was a few guys like fired up, like, God damn it, this
guy really fired up. I felt bad.
Like people get upset. Nothing's ever perfect. It's not always what we want in every way, but it is what it is, and it's pretty freaking amazing in a lot of ways too. So
yeah, and I think like people take my opinion as like that I'm totally negative on sorcery. It's not that. That's not what it is. It's that, I'm trying to educate folks that I think there's a shift of what the market and public may have expected. Maybe to your point, where folks that have entered later and saw things as one thing and maybe not, and what I'm doing about it, right? So like the changes that I'm making to my buying habits, my collecting habits, and all those things. But in no means am I like, selling all my cards and going home. Like, I'm not going to do that. I still like it. I still like all my stuff, and it's still fun. It's just it's a different take than the general hopium take of it. So it might hurt to hear it, but people should just take it as a data point and say, if you disagree, okay, that's a data point. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's human nature. People get upset about stuff. We bitch about it. We piss and moan. And then we come around. We ebb and flow. We're human beings.
We ebb and flow.
It's not always rainbows and unicorns or
that's
kitties.
Right. That's
beautiful
right.
Kitties.
Yeah. I didn't take my hat off though. Well, you're right. I didn't start to. No, the smokestack poll.
Your channel, man. So you got a good channel. I really enjoy. Like, you got a good vibe about you when you do your lives. Your chat. I'm always impressed. Your chat's very lively too. Sometimes I feel like I'm sitting there, like, it was lively tonight because I think you were on. We had a host. Maybe that's a good vibe. But like oftentimes I'm breaking alpha and people, it's like deathly quiet for like 20, 30 packs. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? Did you fall asleep?
So
and I watch your
sometimes
channel and people are popping off the whole time. I was like, I don't know, this guy's doing something right. I must be a moron.
Well, I could also be getting them all angry. I know Noble's a one that'll get a sandwich or something like that, and he's not. Once he gets that sandwich and we're ready to go into break mode, but that's all the good vibes, and we don't hear from him.
Yeah, Noble's key. He's a conversation starter. Yeah, he's funny. I saw him talking earlier. I was busting his chops about, what was it, Noble? I was busting his chops about something one time. Oh, the top 2 box theory. I was like, get out of here with it. And then like I hit like a bust box and I was like, see, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Small sample size statistics. And then tonight we hit some bangers. But I did the 2 alpha boxes like 2 weeks ago. I got Immolation Unique twice. What are the odds? Like the same unique foil twice.
That's wild.
Yeah. That, like, the odds of that have to be stupid.
The odds are really low. I pulled an Immolation foil at least once, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
and you
but
pulled
to pull like 2 in 2 boxes is like just so weird and random.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and Charles too, I totally understand it. There's a lot of fun with the game too and just having fun, but you have to remember LGS, big collectors, folks are deploying tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, in this, together in this journey. And I think holding EC accountable to their end of the bargain, I don't think is a bad thing, But yeah, a lot of it's just fun. Most people are here collecting a little bit, having some fun. The conversation we're having here is for, the really big, collectors, the folks that are spending tons and tons of money. That's really it. It doesn't really impact a lot of folks that are, playing and opening some boxes and such. It's impacting the ecosystem around you,
Yep.
Yeah.
It's great. So great art, great game. We're enjoying it.
It is. It is.
It's cool to get together too. And SorceryCon, hopefully we'll see you and everybody else first quarter 2026 sometime.
I should be there. Yeah, I'm gonna make a plan for it.
Nice, man.
Yeah, it was so much fun last time. It was one of the best events ever.
Yeah.
Is it still gonna be in Vegas or is it moving?
We're gonna move it, but we haven't said where yet because it's not like written in stone. We got to like settle on a venue. We got a few leading contenders, but we're not gonna like announce it until we can secure the venue for sure and put out like some clarity on the date. But it'll be different than Vegas. Vegas was like perfect for the first splash, like statement event, right? Like big sorcery community event, hundreds of people. You got to go to Vegas, right? But and I loved it too. It was so much fun. But,
it was great.
I think going to another city will be super cool too. And the reality is you're spending 99% of your time in the venue, except going out to dinner or whatever. So you're not getting like the full, I didn't get the full Vegas experience,
No. No.
Some people did. Our buddy Mikkel, interesting adventure. I don't know.
I did get some good experience from Cho. I got the personal Cho limo ride around Vegas, so that was good.
Yeah. He picked me up at the airport with like Pelly was with us. So I show up at my airport here in Virginia, and Mike Pelly's there in the lobby, and this other guy Noah. I don't know if you know him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They both live in my area, and I was like, "Dude, what's up?" And then we got on the plane. Like Noah was like in the row right behind me on the plane, and then Cho picks us up. So Cho was planning to pick me up, and I was like, "What do you think about these two guys? Give them a ride too." And we all drove back. We went right to the liquor store for the Collector Arthouse after parties that we had, and we got Mikkel nice and tuned up, and Tony and a few others. A lot of artists turned out. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll try to repeat. We had breakfast with the artists both days. It's a good time.
The after party was a great event. Your after party, yeah.
We'll do that again. That was great.
Yeah, you didn't even need any baby oil for that thing.
Oh man, yeah. Diddy's out of commission.
Yeah.
So one night before the day, give yourself time. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on again.
Check out
Philosopher Cards.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Do Alpha Breaks or other games, Shard Bugs popping off.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, dude.
All right, good stuff, guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, take care.